Donald Trump has done it, my friends. He has signed the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. And oh, woe is us, cries liberals. They say Trump can't do that. The Department of Education was created by an act of Congress, and only an act of Congress can be rid of it. But there is something interesting about Congress creating executive branches that are controlled by the president. He can effectively dismantle them by instructing all extraneous activities to be shut down and pulling their funding. So while Congress does mandate certain functions must be done, and it is Trump's job to carry those things out, he chooses how they are carried out. Effectively, there will still be a Department of Education. Maybe Congress will actually try to dismantle it. Definitely won't get past the filibuster. So Trump's just going to say, we're going to rip it to shreds, and it's going to function miserably. Miserably. This is huge. Guys, for those that have been tracking this stuff, we've had a Department of Education since 1979, and our test scores have fallen. This unified federal education system has failed. I am a huge opponent of the public school system. I think it's miserable and awful. So I'm really excited about this. The states should be figuring these things out, and this will allow individuals to make the determination of which school is right for them better than we do now. Not to mention all the weird woke stuff where they're like, if you don't have this thing in your school, you're not getting funding, or other programs like that. Goodbye. So I'm excited for this. We'll talk about that. Then we've got a bunch of other stories. Pam Bondi's announced several arrests. Elon Musk, Tesla has been booted from an auto show out of fears of terrorism. The auto show is concerned that protests might happen. Yeah, but nobody's really concerned about an old lady waving a sign. They're concerned about the fire bombings and the public shootings which have been going on. Rick Wilson, you know him, you love him, Lincoln Project guy, claims to be a conservative. He's permanently suspended from X because he called for he called for terrorism. I'm not exaggerating. He wrote a Substack article where he literally said attack. I don't really want to use the language he used because I think YouTube might take issue with it, but there's no mincing words here. He posted a picture of an exploded flaming Cybertruck and said attack, and that this is our chance to stop Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. And then this is where we are. So we'll talk about that. And then, I don't know, maybe some more chill news. Snow White, you guys, it's so woke. You're going to hate this, but you're going to laugh at the same time. Seems like they put too much into it. Apparently the story now is that Snow White's skin is not as white as snow. Her name is Snow White because it was snowing. Indeed. She doesn't meet a prince. She meets a ragtag group of bandits, not 7 dwarfs, but she eventually does meet 7 dwarfs, I guessed. So they put the stories together where she meets a ragtag band of merry men in the forest. And, this movie ain't Snow White. That's Disney for you. So we're going to get into all that. Before we do, smash that like button, share the show. We want to shout out Rumble. Guys, you should download the Rumble app. If you haven't already, you should, because subscribe to this channel. Look, even right now, YouTube, if you're watching, I got people complaining in the chat right now saying they don't get notifications for the show. Say whatever you want. I mean, people who watch the show every single night want notifications for it. Well, when you download the Rumble app and you watch us on Rumble, you will get notified every single night. If you subscribe, you get notifications. I've heard some people say, I get too many notifications. Okay, well, just turn the notification off. YouTube, you can't turn them on. So you can subscribe to a channel and you never hear from them again. Shout out to Rumble. We are currently live, and we're going to have that uncensored show at rumble.com/Timcast IRL tonight at 10. Don't miss it. You can call in. We also got Cast Brew Coffee. It's the best coffee. Everyone agrees. At least that's what I've been told. I recommend you pick up some Stand Your Grounds. It's a medium roast. It is really, really good. Or maybe you're into decaf. Maybe you want some Sleepy Joe. Perhaps a nice bag of Sleepy Joe so that you can have a coffee late at night without staying up all night. And then for those of you that love chickens as much as I do, go to boonieshq.com and pick up your 28th Amendment skateboard, which reads, chickens being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep, bear, and breed chickens shall not be infringed. Can you believe this? And also, look at that doodle of the chicken. If you can't see this because you're only listening, I feel bad for you. This chicken doodle is the greatest doodle ever made of a chicken, and you can have it at boonieshq.com. There are actually places that ban chicken ownership, and I think that is evil. That is pure evil. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight, our guest didn't show up. I'm not kidding.
Oops.
And we only found out like 20 minutes ago that they weren't coming. So I'll refrain from getting specific. I don't need to roast anybody, I guess, but we do have a couple of. So we reached out to a bunch of people and we were like, "Hey, we need a last minute fill in." Normally, we do not do fill-ins this late, but
we didn't know that it was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like usually when we get cancellations, they at least tell us an hour beforehand. And then we've got people who live in the area who typically come down and join the show. But we reached out to Tiffany Cianci, who is a TikTok personality, conservative. And we also reached out to Cody McIntyre, who's a world-renowned professional skateboarder. And, I don't know his political leanings, but he had a Gadsden flag mini ramp, so it's good enough. And then we were just like, guys, can you come? We don't know who's going to make it. And they both said yes. And I said, okay, they'll both come. But neither are here, so Raymond's here.
Hey, what's up, guys? I am excited to be here. On Tim's point of YouTube not notifying people, I've been staunch Super Chat King forever, and I've been unsubscribed from the YouTube, and I don't get notifications. But when I've joined Rumble, I'm doing the whole morning lineup now, Tim. I get notifications all the time. So I would suggest you guys go to Rumble because that's the way to go. And you have great lineups, and I hang out and I see the quartering afterwards. But anyways,
the morning show is now rivaling or even beating Timcast IRL, which is how it used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
So, Rumble.
Anyways, I'm a blue-collar guy. I am a common sense revolutionary. Mr. Phil.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. So let's get started.
I'm sure we'll have some guests arriving any minute now.
I can't wait to
But hey, let's talk about the news. So from Huffington Post.
Man.
The EO. Trump signs executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Congress would need to act to fully eliminate the critical agency. The critical agency. Trump could still stop many of its key functions. President Trump signed an executive order on Thursday that calls for the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, to begin the process of shutting down the Department of Education. In the late afternoon, Trump announced his administration would return education back to the states. I was hanging out with the family, and we were watching the signing. I have the video for you. We'll play it. Here we go. And Allison, who's my wife, said, "Who's that lady?" And I was like, "That's Linda McMahon." And she's like, "Who is she?" And I was like, "The wife of
Vince
McMahon.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, and then she was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "The guy from WWE." And then she started, Allison just started busting out laughing. And then she laughed the whole time she watched the ceremony. And I was like, "Welcome to President Trump." Oh, do we got no sound on this one? That's my fault. I mute Twitter because it autoplays.
Historic action that was 45 years in the making. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. Today we take...
There you go. That's from Rapid Response 47. So basically, here's how it's going to work. The executive order that he signed is basically a plan. It's an instruction for the head of the Department of Education, Secretary of Education, to basically start shutting it down. The way it works is Congress passed the Department of Education Organization Act in 1979, which requires several things to be accomplished. Trump can't end those functions, but he can mess them up real good. So you may remember back when marijuana was still illegal in the 2000s, and the DEA was raiding pot shops across the country. Notably in California, you had, this is before Obama actually, in California you had a bunch of different pot shops where California said, pot's legal, and the DEA still raided them. So Barack Obama was like, we're not going to enforce this. Now hold on, Congress passed a law saying you can't have marijuana. And Barack Obama said, I'm the president, I ain't going to instruct any of my guys to enforce that law. That is how the executive branch checks the legislative branch. You see, there's this thing called checks and balances. The judicial branch issues rulings, says you can't do that. Legislative branch can pass laws saying, here's what you got to do. And the executive branch can choose to not do things. It works out pretty well. In this instance, Trump is going to basically tell the Department of Education, stop doing things and stop giving people money. So the core functions that need to be done technically could be done, but if he's only doing it at about 1% of what's supposed to be done, he's still technically doing it. And the argument from Trump is once this executive order goes through and we begin the process of dismantling it, Congress will eventually act to shut the whole thing down. I'm not entirely convinced, but we're at a wartime presidency right now. And so, and I mean that. I hope people are paying attention to what's going on. with the stories that we have right now. I don't know what to expect from Trump, but this is not a typical administration. This is not a typical opposition. Chuck Schumer goes on TV saying they intentionally put in judges to block, they set up judges intentionally so that they could launch lawsuits against the administration and get injunctions every step of the way. This is not about what is constitutional or what Trump can do. It is about Democrats going to war administratively with Trump, and now Trump is going to have to operate similarly. So there you go.
I mean, it's going to war against the will of the American people. The president was elected with a mandate. People knew what they were getting. People knew that he was going to create Doge. People knew that he was going to go after the bureaucracy. People knew that he was going to try to, quote unquote, drain the swamp. This is all in line with what he promised and what he was elected to do. And there's one other thing that I want to point out. If you're a libertarian, if you have libertarian leanings, Donald Trump is the most effective libertarian president we have seen since Calvin Coolidge, possibly since the actual founders, right? This administration has put more effort into shrinking the government and cutting waste than any other administration, definitely in my lifetime, probably any administration in the whole of the 20th century. So people that are saying, oh, I would want Donald Trump to do if you're a libertarian, that we're saying, I want Donald Trump to do this, to do that, etc. Give him time. This is far more cuts and more effort put into shrinking the government than I've definitely seen in my lifetime, And it's something that everybody that voted for Donald Trump knew that they were going to be getting when they voted.
You know what, Phil? School sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Everybody
It's
thinks
fun
so.
to hang out sometimes when you're in school.
No. That's not school. That's hang out. Mm-hmm. Like if you give me a big empty building and said, hey, you want to go hang out for a little bit? I'd be like, sounds great. We'll skate. I can skateboard in a big empty building. Hey, we got one of those. But if you say that you're going to sit in a room where some apathetic government employee is going to yell at you and tell you that boys are girls and girls are boys, that's awful.
And schools nowadays, they're not designed, in fact, not even nowadays, for a long time, they haven't been designed to actually teach people important things that they need to know. How many times have you heard people say, I didn't learn how to balance my checkbook, or I didn't learn about how our financial system works, or I didn't learn how I should actually save money. The schools that were set up or the way schools were set up in the 40s and 50s and stuff, they became a way to get people ready to work in an industrialized society that no longer exists, with the bells to change classes and
that's dumb anyway.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Remember back in the 50s when kids brought their guns to school?
Yeah.
And they had rifle classes and shooting.
What was that shooting in Texas at the bell tower or whatever? You remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, the college.
And then a bunch of people who had guns ran out to try and fired at him, suppress the shooter.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, kids would bring their rifles to target, like to
back
school.
in my day.
You had that at school?
I lived in the woods. You could have it in the truck. If they're sitting up in the truck, you can have the rifle.
You'd go to school with the rifle. Did they have rifle class?
No, we did not. But we were a big hunting community. We lived in the woods. So
schools used to have rifle class.
Yeah.
I had school in my high school in Idaho in 2008, 2009. People had
Really?
rifles,
That's not that long ago.
Not that long ago. 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
I was an adult man at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in high school in the late 80s and early 90s, and there were I lived in Massachusetts suburbs and stuff, but if you had a gun, if you had a rifle in your truck or whatever, no one was would even think that there was going to be a problem. It was so far outside of anyone's mind.
And talking about learning stuff, they don't do trade classes anymore.
No.
They don't do anything that's useful to Tim. I heard he ranted today about college, or every day about how college can be useless. They don't teach people how to build anything, how to use screwdrivers, how to use drill guns, how to do mechanics, how to work on your
What's
car.
a screwdriver?
It's mostly useless.
I've heard that before.
You know what's funny is that I went to Catholic school for a few years, and it was private and it was expensive. And then when I started 6th grade, I switched to public school. Wow, is it night and day? Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, though, what the woke have been trying to do, what the left has been trying to do through the Department of Education and through public schooling, is essentially indoctrinate people to their religion. Mm-hmm. They don't understand, like when Sam Cedar was in that debate with Eleazar Perez, he does not comprehend what religion is. In his mind, he's got an 8th grade understanding of the word religion. He thinks it means fairy tale, fairy tale rules or whatever, instead of moral traditions and things like that. So when you look at what the left is trying to implement through wokeness in schools, the reason why you see all these videos of teachers with, pride flags and BLM stuff, they are trying not to educate, to teach math. No, they were saying 2 + 2 = 5. What they're trying to do is act like churches for young people to create a generation of ideologically aligned cultists. And Trump is dismantling that now with crushing the Department of Education. They're going to resist. Judges will tell Trump no. But as I stated already, this is wartime presidency.
Feels like it.
It is. And I think the right is full of naive people. The left has been waging administrative warfare and kinetic warfare for a decade, from the riots. I mean, go back to when Donald Trump's first term, the Berkeley riots. The far left shows up and threw explosives at old ladies. Terrorism. They had IEDs. Watch the videos of this stuff. A guy came out with a bike lock and bashed several people over the head with it. This was overt terror. That was 2017 and 18. And you had these riots all throughout Trump's first term. You end up with the Summer of Love riots. Then you end up, administratively, they're accusing Trump of being a Soviet agent and spy, trying to imprison and impeach and convict him. When that failed, they tried seizing his properties in New York. There was 2 assassination attempts on his life. We had the Summer of Love riots, as I mentioned. You had the killing of Aaron Danielson. Yep. The left has been waging whatever you want to call it, conflict, war, whatever, from the ground all the way to the highest levels of government for nearly a decade now, for 8 or so years. Today, Donald Trump, acting within his purview under Article 2 of the Constitution, is being barred from carrying out actions he's legally allowed to take by judges making unconstitutional decrees. And when Trump says, "What?" they say, "How dare you, Trump? You are causing a constitutional crisis." Yet many people on the right are still like, no, we can't do these things. There's a question now for Donald Trump. Is he going to ignore the courts, which were propped up intentionally to shut down his administration? Or is he going to act like a wartime president like Abraham Lincoln and say, we are going to get the job done? And I'm not saying to do anything illegal. I'm saying Donald Trump's going to have to issue a statement. The judge's order is unconstitutional and we will not abide. That's it. And then carry out his duties. It will be incumbent upon the judges and Democrats to figure out how they're going to take action against Trump. The only problem is the judicial branch has no enforcement mechanism against the executive. The legislative branch is controlled by the Republicans and likely will not act against Trump. Therefore, right now, as the public has voted, the judges can do nothing.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that Donald Trump needs to ignore, in my opinion, I think that Donald Trump should just ignore these whatever you call it, the
rogue judges
by the judges. The Democrat establishment, or Chuck Schumer, he's made it clear that the point is to prevent Donald Trump from doing the things that, again, I've said this before, he was elected to do. This isn't a surprise. The American people, when they voted for Donald Trump, were voting for Doge. They were voting to drain the swamp. They were voting to get rid of the bureaucracy. They knew what they were doing when they voted for Donald Trump. He won with 77 million votes. He clearly beat Kamala Harris. He won all of the swing states. He won the Electoral College, and he won the popular vote. The Republicans won the Congress and the Senate. This is not something where it is in question as to whether or not the American people have. It's not like they didn't know what they signed up for. You should ignore the judges.
But it doesn't matter. None of it matters. What? You're not going to convince leftists.
That's why.
But no, this is the point. You're not going to convince leftists. You don't need to convince the right. And people in the middle road are largely just concerned with the economy. So what's going to happen now is an escalation between two factions. Let's jump to this next story, which basically breaks it down. I will say, I'm actually kind of surprised no one's gotten here yet. Cody was...
Oh, yeah.
Cody was out the door 40 minutes ago. Anyway, let's... I know, right? We got this. Let's go. Here's the story. We got this from PBS NewsHour, posted by Libs of TikTok. Chuck Schumer admits the quiet part out loud. Democrat-appointed judges are really activists who are here to stop Donald Trump.
There are those who believe that we are, in real time, living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
Yes, our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways. The good news here is we did put 235 judges, progressive judges, judges not under the control of Trump last year on the bench, and they are ruling against Trump time after time after time. And we hope that the appellate courts, when it gets up there in the Supreme Court, will uphold those rulings. They restored the money to NIH. They required that 8,000 federal employees have to come back. We're in over 100 lawsuits against them, and we are having a good deal of success. It's only at the lower court level right now.
Ignore them.
This is it. This is, I would call it America's
Last stand.
Well, I wasn't going to say last stand. That's kind of a brutal way to put it. I was going to say, I'm imagining more of like a reignition. You see, what Chuck Schumer represents and what these progressive judges represent is a bureaucratic blob. That's what Mike Pence calls it. He calls it the blob. It's this machine of consumption. What are its ends? What are its goals? Global dominance under a bland, gray, gruel, flavorless society. Donald Trump represents America. And what he is doing is dismantling the mechanisms of government overreach, as the people have requested that he do. The blob, the deep state, the bureaucratic state, have put in place judges to rule against Trump. What's the quote from Andrew Jackson? I've seen their ruling. Now enforce it.
The Chief Justice has made his ruling. Now let him enforce it.
That's right. So what we have here is, as Libs of TikTok puts it, Chuck Schumer admitting the quiet part out loud. Democrats appointed these judges with the intent to obstruct Donald Trump. The only issue is, as it goes with checks and balances, let's play the game. Congress passes a law, and they say, we believe people who do this thing should be arrested. They pass it to the executive branch. From now on, enforce this law. Here's your check. Donald Trump says, no, I'm not going to enforce that law. That law is unconstitutional. And that's it. The law does not get enforced.
It gets checked.
When Barack Obama wasn't going after sending the DA to go raid some of these pot shops, who's complaining? Not the potheads. Nobody who voted for Obama. They were like, good, don't enforce it. But hold on, Congress never passed that. They never legalized it. What about DACA? DACA was basically Obama saying, we will not enforce the law against this group of people, even though Congress said to do it. Now, let's say Congress passes a law and Donald Trump says, we're going to enforce it. How do you check the executive? It's called the judiciary. You sue the executive when you have standing. You go to court, you win, and the court rules the executive branch must stop. Typically, that check is enough. Right now, however, you have Donald Trump taking executive action as he was elected to do. The judiciary is attempting to block him. The check on the judiciary would be Congress codifying in law and clarifying that what Trump is doing is not allowed. So under the Alien Enemies Act, Donald Trump is deporting criminals. The judiciary says, hold on, you can't do this. Congress is going to have to act to check the executive or side, basically take their position. Only problem is the options for checking from the legislative branch are pass a law or impeach the president for high crimes and misdemeanors if he's violating his oath to the Constitution. Congress ain't going to be doing that. And so what do we get? Donald Trump is going to look to the courts and say, enforce it. What up? Cody Mack. We have a guest.
We have one.
He made it.
Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Who are you? What do you do? Grab the mic and pull it towards your mouth.
Like a fist.
Yeah, that sounds kind of weird. My name is Cody McIntyre. I'm a professional
And he saves the day.
skateboarder.
Professional skateboarder,
Extraordinaire.
i.e. broken homeless.
Used to be. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just ribbing. I'm saying skateboarding is done. It's fried. Industry's in trouble.
Unfortunately, I feel like the industry is not necessarily dead, or the culture is not dead, but I feel like the industry is dying.
The industry is gone, my friend. Yeah. Anyway, we're just talking about how Trump is a wartime president, and the administrative state is now trying to obstruct the last opportunity of the populist movement to, I guess is what Raymond called it, the last stand.
Feels like it at this point in time.
I kind of don't feel like it's the last stand because that implies that if Trump doesn't get it all done today, like in this term, then we lose.
Well, maybe if this term goes sour and the judges, I want to ask about. They're all from D.C., right? All these guys who are giving.
I'm pretty sure they're all D.C. judges.
Yeah. So can we have other judges who are not D.C. like check them judges? So why aren't they doing that?
To be honest, I don't think it matters because, as we just pointed out, Trump's simply going to be.
I hope he does.
I seriously hope Trump comes out and goes, I have heard Judge Ray's ruling on the transgender military ban, issuing the preliminary injunction. Now she may enforce it.
I've instructed the Secretary of Defense to ignore it, period. And SecDef would.
He's not running for re-election. What does he care?
Yeah, I mean, look, just like Senator Schumer said, right? The point is to impose their will on the American people. And he talks about a constitutional crisis. This is the constitutional crisis, not what Donald Trump is doing. Because again, he was elected by the electorate to do these things. Everyone knew what they were voting for.
Yep.
So the constitutional crisis comes from the fact that they're trying to prevent him from doing things through the judiciary. So I do think that the Congress needs to pass laws to enshrine these executive orders into law, so that way if they did, that would circumvent the judiciary. I don't know if they'd have enough votes to do it. I think that they probably would in the House, but I'm not sure that they would in the Senate. But that's the proper process. But the fact that the judiciary is just standing in the way, I think he should ignore him. He should instruct the agencies.
It's sounding like that's what's going to happen.
I hope
he should. He really should.
And they're lower courts, like you were telling me a couple of days ago. They're not actual federal. I mean, maybe federal, but judges.
Yeah,
but
federal.
They're not. But they're not like they don't mean ish. Like their word should mean anything.
Well, the issue comes from Donald Trump's orders on the military. Yeah, it's insane that a judge. I kid you not. I don't know if you heard this one, Cody. A judge ruled any and everyone must be allowed to enlist in the military. So this means someone tweeted schizophrenic paraplegics are now eligible for military service.
I have no arms.
Yeah, again, walk right into this one, huh? First thing we talk about.
Welcome.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think anybody that wants to should be able to serve their country, but I do think that there's...
What if they're schizophrenic?
There's limitations for a reason. I mean, I'm a towering 5'4". I don't necessarily fit the bill for a lot of firefighters.
You can't join. No joining the military if you're under 5'5".
Yeah, maybe we just make a rule like that. Piss a lot of people off.
They used to have tattoos. You couldn't have gang tattoos back in the day. Maybe probably still today.
Used to be
gang tattoos.
And flat feet. They don't let people join for that.
You couldn't join in 1993. You couldn't join at all if you had any tattoos. You could get them when you were in, but if you had tattoos, they wouldn't take you. And that, I mean, now that seems
gang tattoos.
Well, you could be out of the gang. One of the guys he had a waiver. He had to get a waiver to get in because he had to get some gang tattoo. People grow out of that.
Cover him up?
No, he still had it, but a judge said, okay, one of the military folks said, okay, you're allowed in.
How do they know that he's not still in the gang?
They don't.
Right, like homie shows up and he's got a big MS-13 and he's like, I ain't in MS-13.
Well, there's other gangs besides MS-13.
No, but I know, there was a big news report that there are MS-13 members in the military. And in Afghanistan, there's MS-13 graffiti, like their allegiance is not to this country. Yeah. And I feel like if someone's got a tattoo, you could be like, get the tattoo removed.
Sure. But still, you can have, they have waivers. Maybe the waiver is you can get it removed, we'll let you in the military. But he turned out to be a captain in the Navy, so it turned out all well.
All right. I'm just saying this. A judge put an injunction on Trump's transgender military ban. The issue I take with this is that Trump's the commander-in-chief. He determines who's going to serve him as commander-in-chief.
Yes.
And a judge was like, nah, you got to bring these people in, and you got to give them sex change surgeries and treatments.
It's insane.
Well, the issue is it's the only DSM-5 mental disorder that is affirmed. So, for instance, anorexia and bulimia disqualify you from military service. The judge's ruling said that if somebody is bulimic and wants to be affirmed in their bulimia, they must be allowed. Come on, bro. What do you think would happen if you're in basic training and a guy just slams a ridiculous amount of food and then barfs it all up on the floor?
Yeah.
And then they were like, we have to let him do it.
I don't know that TikToker. I keep, last time I brought up one time, she's very thin. She's a very famous TikToker. They would have to let her in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she'd have to become in the military and let her do something.
She needs medical intervention.
So are they saying that nobody with tattoos is allowed in the military, or that's what they're?
Oh, no. The ruling now is that anybody's.
Anybody.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Because I know you're
even
talking
you
about
at
the gang
5'4" are welcome in.
5'4". Hey, I might have a little bit on you, Tim.
Well, it's remarkable that the commander-in-chief of the armed forces is being told by a lower court judge, here's who you have to have in your military. And it was crazy because it was like, you cannot violate the civil rights. What it says, the Constitution says all, or what is it, the Declaration, all people are created equal, and all means all. And then someone tweeted, now's your chance if you're a schizophrenic paraplegic to join the military because they have to let you in.
That's just saying that we should do away with standards. And that's absolutely insane. The idea that you should do away with a minimum standard means that there's absolutely no way to ensure that people are capable of doing the job. There's no way to ensure that people that are not capable are removed from jobs. And this in the military means people die. There's no two ways about it. There has to be a minimum standard, and everyone has to be held to that standard.
Let's jump to the next story, which is just another portion of this story. Check this out from the New York Times. Administration officials believe the order lets immigration agents enter homes without warrants. It remains unclear whether the Trump administration will apply the law this way, but such an interpretation, experts say, would infringe on basic civil liberties. Trump admin lawyers have determined that an 18th century wartime law the president has invoked to deport suspected members of a Venezuelan gang allows federal agents to enter homes without a warrant, according to people familiar with the internal discussions. The first thing I'm going to say is, I don't believe you, New York Times. This is far-fetched, naming nobody, and even the title is ridiculous. But I still find it to be interesting because the conversation I've been having with myself since yesterday and now with my friends is Trump now a wartime president? And I don't mean literal like World War II. What I'm saying is Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus because of the conflict in this country. Are we in or entering a period where Donald Trump will have to act as a wartime president? Let me say this. I don't like the idea that Donald Trump is going to kick in someone's door. Not him, actually it'll be hilarious if it's him personally. He walks up and it's just him. But the idea that he's going to send cops or immigration to a house, they're going to kick the door in and say, we don't need a warrant because you're harboring criminal illegal aliens or whatever. That sounds like a really bad idea. And that's why I've been saying since last year, even the year before, if Trump wants to implement deportations, it's got to be a guy in a polo shirt and khakis with a belt on and a clipboard, knocking on a door and then taking people to a nice, little van with only a couple people in it where they can go for deportation. None of this military vehicles, none of this, like putting them in detention centers on the border. You have to be very, very careful with how this is done. I don't want to see law enforcement thinking they can enter homes without warrants. That's insane.
That's a slippery slope, man.
Yeah.
That's a real slippery slope.
It is.
I mean, I understand, like, being over here illegally, you kind of forfeit your rights that a normal American citizen would have, but I still think just entering a home in general without any sort of consent or a warrant, that makes me uncomfortable.
What if there is a terrorist in that home?
I mean, again, I can't definitively say what I think would happen, but I just think it's a little scary.
What if there is a known terrorist who is being pursued by law enforcement and he runs inside of a house and locks the door, and as the law enforcement turn the corner, there's a bunch of people outside with their hands on their heads, and they're like, he just ran in that house.
Yeah.
Can they go in then?
Wait for him to come out.
Well, isn't that
No, but honest
Standoffs?
question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, stake it out.
I honestly think legally, if cops are in pursuit of a wanted criminal and the guy turns the corner and then enters a house and the police turn the corner and everyone's pointing at the house, he just went inside, pretty sure that's probable cause and they can enter the building. Exigent circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be, and it wouldn't be a problem to get, again, make sure that the house is locked down, call up a judge, get a warrant, be like, yo, people say that he went in there, we were following him, we think he's in there, give us a warrant. The judge can issue a warrant real quick.
I don't think they need it.
Maybe not.
I'm pretty sure if there are witnesses who said, we just watched a man enter that house. So when we got swatted, the cops were like, we don't need a warrant. Exigent circumstances. And I said, the hell you don't. You can't come in my house. And they were like, tell it to a judge. And they walked in. They didn't literally say tell it to a judge. They were like, we don't need your permission and we're going in your house. And I was like, well, I reject this. I oppose this and I deny permission. And they went in anyway. Because I don't want them walking through my house.
I mean, I think in the terrorist scenario, if it's black and white, like you said, like it's easy to say, yeah, you should totally be able to go into the house or enter into the house and grab the suspect. But this is kind of shades of gray here. Like, what other people are in the house, who really knows what's going on. I feel like that's why all of these standoffs happen quite a bit at the time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in Tim's like perfect scenario, yeah, the guy runs in, he's the only one in there, for sure, go in and get the guy. I think that's fine. But I think like when these things actually play out, like I said, it's a little bit more gray than just, or a little bit more gray than like, what do we actually do here?
Here's the challenge. I don't disagree with you. The challenge is, over the past 4 years, we've had more people enter this country illegally than at any point in the history of this country. And some actually have argued that it is one of the largest mass migrations of humans in the history of humanity. So it is. It's in the top 5. The partition of India and Pakistan may be much bigger, but that was actually one big body and that was split. This is people coming from all over the world and entering the United States, with estimates ranging from like 10 to 20 million. This is apocalyptic for a culture, for a country, for an economy. Donald Trump says, I'm elected with immigration as the number 2 issue, and I need to enforce the law. And we must deport the worst of the worst: criminal, terroristic, illegal migrants, people who are in prison gangs. Now, as Joe Biden violated the Constitution and did all of the worst things imaginable, there's a guy in Arizona. Was it Arizona where the rancher got arrested?
Yeah, yeah. The old dude. Yeah.
So people are crossing onto his property. He claims that, I think what he said, they're shooting at him or something.
He thought they were.
He heard gunshots. So he goes out there, and I think he admitted he shot a guy illegally trespassing and breaking into the country. He went to prison. So when it comes to Joe Biden and his administration taking away our rights and assisting in the destruction of this country, oh boy, let me lay it out for you. When they put up shipping containers to block the barrier, they ordered them taken down. When the Texas National Guard put up concertina wire, the feds came in and said, don't you dare defy us. Let these people in. And when CBP under Joe Biden knew they were trafficking children into sex slavery, they did it with smiles on their faces.
Just let it happen.
And we all watched that happen. But because it wasn't personal to us, we say it's a bad thing that must be stopped. And the liberals say we like it. Now the shoe is on the other foot. Donald Trump is the president, and these criminals got to go. Now what we hear is, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but now what we hear is we cannot be like Biden, meaning we're going to have to be constrained with our hands tied behind our backs, and the criminals and the sex slavers who are brought into this country, oh boy, we might not be able to remove all of them. So this is what I mean by wartime presidency. Joe Biden, and I'm going to say it again, ask Dr. Phil, don't take my word for it. Dr. Phil on The View said he interviewed CBP agents. The video is public. You can watch CBP agents say this, the head of the union. Children are brought in with numbers on their arms or hands. CBP knows these are sex slavery rings for children, and they were instructed to allow them in. So when Donald Trump says, I am going to go above and beyond to get these criminals out of this country, what we end up hearing is, oh man, we can't do these things. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want feds or cops kicking in any doors without warrants. Screw that. But at the very least, when it comes to Trump putting these criminals on airplanes and saying, see you later, the judges are trying to stop him from doing it. That's what I mean by wartime president. Is Trump going to say, here's what you did, and my justification is everything I just said? Or are we going to sit back and say, no, Joe Biden and the Democrats, Schumer, they did untold evils, and we're going to tolerate it because our Constitution says we have to?
Mm-hmm. No, I think that like I said, Donald Trump has a mandate, and I think that the fact that there are people trying to, judges trying to interpose themselves means that you have to have it's extenuating circumstances, and there has to be some way.
Welcome to hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Believe me, it's not something that I'm excited about. But you've had the left behaving outside, doing things outside of the law, and people have been making excuses for it and accepting it. Now that the Republicans have the power, it's time to use it.
I've for many years been preaching fire with fire. I might have calmed down kind of a little bit, but I doubt it. But Trump needs to stand up. Literally, it's been an invasion, which is an intrusion and encroachment, which we've had the last couple of years. So we're definitely getting invaded, and we can't. If we want to save America and have a good culture, we just can't let these millions of people come in here, break our laws, and just do what they want to do. That makes zero sense. How do they have free play?
Welcome to hell.
I don't like hell.
Because the issue is it wasn't started by Trump. What we've seen over the past several years in the Biden administration, how do we tolerate, and I think it's the most egregious of crimes, that our law enforcement officers in CBP were knowingly sending children to sex slavery. I'll say it 50 million times because they did.
Efforts.
And the head of the CBP union said it. There are numerous independent reporters who went down there and have talked about how this is going on. We know, Donald Trump knows, the coyotes, they take young girls, they rape them as part of their human smuggling operation.
James O'Keefe had that one gentleman, and he got in trouble for
That's right.
beans.
That's right. And this whole time this is happening, was there a conversation of, oh no, the Constitution is being violated? Well, sure, on our side. So when Donald Trump comes to respond to this, the only answer is, boy, I tell you what, you guys should watch The Patriot with Mel Gibson. You ever see that one?
I need to rewatch it.
Because Mel Gibson says, it's such a good movie. It is the best movie. Have you seen The Patriot with Mel Gibson? Oh, yeah.
We're going to watch it on the big screen.
We should put it on.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. They're having a meeting of the Constitution. It's a constitutional convention. Should we declare war? And he says, no. And they were like, so what would you have us do? The king basically keeps trampling our rights. And he says, petition the king. We've tried that. It doesn't work. And it goes, petition again and again and again. That plea feels so much to me like what Republicans and people on the right have been doing for a decade. Just keep pleading, keep petitioning somebody who has no intention of listening to what you have to say. But then he makes another great point. He says, mark my words, this war will not be fought on some faraway battlefield. It'll be fought in front of your homes, and your children will learn of it with their own eyes. So the issue now is, you may not have asked for what Joe Biden did to this country, but if we want to see Donald Trump use his authority to deport people and uphold the law, shut down these corrupt institutions like USAID, they are going to continue waging war administratively against him. And Trump's option is going to have to be, your words mean nothing to me, because I've seen, well, we can go the trope, your boos mean nothing, I've seen what makes you cheer. But in all seriousness, your rulings mean nothing, because I've seen what you ruled for and against.
Base.
I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to add. It's like just this is, we've been here for a long time. The left has been using tax money to with USAID to install the policies they want. NGOs have been abusing the American people and abusing the financial system that we have, the funding system that we have, and it's time for it to stop. And we should ignore the people on the left in the same way that the people on the left ignored people on the right. They're going to act this way. They're going to say, oh, Donald Trump is this and that. Donald Trump is so bad. He's Hitler, blah, blah, blah. That is nothing new. This is all of the same tropes they've been saying for the past 10, 12 years or whatever. Ignore them and exercise power because you have it. Because they were doing it.
Yes.
They were doing it while they had power. Joe Biden tried to tweet an amendment into the Constitution.
That's right.
He straight up said, oh, yeah, by the way, the ERA is now a thing, even though it clearly wasn't. It was ridiculous that he even tried it. And there were multiple people in Congress and in the administration that were echoing the tweet that he made, trying to convince people that an amendment had been put into the Constitution that didn't get ratified. So ignore them. Run over them, because right now the Republicans have the power. Donald Trump has the power, and he has the authority to do these things.
Let's jump to this story from Fox News. Hey, look at that. Tesla booted from Vancouver International Auto Show over safety of attendees.
Terrorism.
Vancouver International Auto Show said its primary concern was the safety of attendees, exhibitors, and staff. Well, I don't think we really need to go into much more about that. They said that they gave Tesla the opportunity to pull out, and Tesla refused, and so they are now booting them from the show. Why? Because the far left is engaged in widespread acts of terrorism, and now there is a concern that if Tesla vehicles are at the auto show, there will be terrorism at the auto show, and they're concerned for the safety of attendees. This is the intention of leftist terror. Yep. Welcome to Donald Trump, the wartime president.
Yeah. The fact that this is absolutely terrorism. This is exactly what they want to see. They want to see people distancing themselves from Trump and from Tesla and stuff. So, I mean, it's good that the FBI is rounding people up.
I hate that fact that, it's in Canada, so invade Canada. But besides that fact, like they're getting what they want, and the people who are regular folks, middle ground folks, Cody, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, they're kicking them out of the auto show because they're worried about violence coming from a certain
You're
party.
bending the knee to a bunch of extremists instead of being like, hey, we're not going to tolerate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if you're a Ford guy, Chevy guy, whatever. You shouldn't be throwing bombs at cars. You shouldn't be lighting cars on fire. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And the fact that just a few years ago Tesla was hailed as some green car, we're saving the planet. It's odd to me, man. Like it just all comes full circle. And
We're heading down to the city this weekend, and we're taking the Tesla.
Oh.
Which I think I should take the Cybertruck though.
To the city, like to DC.
DC, yeah. I think we should take the Cybertruck because it's more ostentatious.
Yeah. And you can take I've seen them take abuse.
Oh, I got an idea. How about I hire what do they call it? Perked? Is that the phrase for armed guards?
Perked?
Yeah.
Like someone
Might be in Illinois.
sitting on top of it with like
No, it's an acronym for people who have the right to.
gotcha.
So DC has got real strict laws on guns. What if we hire some armed guards, and then just film it while we're down there?
Can you open up the back of it and have them standing on top with like a 249 saw?
No.
Just in case. I mean,
No.
you never know. I mean,
I'm saying protect my vehicle from being vandalized,
okay. Gotcha.
and then film in case somebody tries to vandalize the car. Bro, I'm saying terrorists are attacking and setting fire to vehicles. So we're going to bring the Tesla down there, and I'm saying maybe we should hire security, not have a guy stand there with a saw.
Yes, you should. And the security should be a guy standing there with us.
See? There we
That's
go.
the security. But honestly,
Remember when Pelosi said she wanted belt-fed, but what did she say?
she wanted
50 cal?
wanted belt-fed machine guns.
Belt-fed machine guns.
I mean, look, I want belt-fed
you know
machine
that?
guns too.
On January 6th, Nancy Pelosi said she wanted belt-fed machine guns. It's like, lady, do you know what that would do to the surrounding buildings?
Yeah.
Yo, when I was in Ukraine, they got buildings. The bullet holes from World War II are still in.
Oh.
It's nuts. You're walking on the street, and you're going to the grocery store, and they're like, "Hey, look!" And you can see a brick wall and just a row of bullet holes through it.
But they don't have
like-
plaster in Ukraine?
No, they never fixed it. And I was like, "Why don't they fix it?" And they were like, "Communists." No, for real. The communists took over and said, "We ain't spending money on that." They stole all their food and let them starve to death.
Jeez.
Well, that was pre-World War II, but still, you get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yes, if you go to DC, you should have
No,
security.
yeah, you know what I'm thinking is maybe we bring the truck down, and then we actually just have security, and just watch and film, and then just stop anybody who tries to do it. It would be interesting to see what happens.
That is kind of funny. Just kind of like it's like you leave in a car and lock the cops. You know how they leave cars unlocked sometimes and have the keys in them to see if someone's going to steal their vehicle. And then
I think it's
I mean,
messed up.
I hate it too. I'm not a big fan, but in kind of just for content purposes.
What,
You
just
have- you
bait
said
car
you-
the
you-
Tesla? Is that what you're saying?
No.
It doesn't work that way because
Yeah.
you have to have your phone near the car for it to drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unless like
No keys?
I think if the car is driving and then the key is gone,
Yeah.
it'll keep driving.
Yeah. So if you like turn on, like you have your key is in your phone,
yeah.
right? And if you turn off the Bluetooth while you're driving, the car will be like, if you stop, you can't start again. You need to have the key put on there, like, or you could put the card in the spot or whatever, because you get actual like credit card style keys as well that come with it in case your phone goes down or whatever.
It's high tech. Very high tech.
I mean, it's great, but it's great that it has the security system and stuff as well. The
Cameras are nice.
the constant cameras and stuff. But I mean, still, it's nice to know that you could find someone if they did, or you could get video. But I don't want someone to key my car. I don't want someone to smash my.
That's fair. I'd rather not, right? Yeah.
I guess you can key a Cybertruck. It's a little different.
I
'cause
see
it's,
they did it, though it's terrible.
it's just, what is it, like plate?
It's
plates?
stainless
Yeah.
steel, I believe, right?
Stainless.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not easy, but I've seen
No.
pictures of that one dude who got busted. When the dude had USA on down his arm, he got.
Oh,
old
right.
white
That was a
dude.
Cybertruck?
Yeah, it was a Cybertruck.
What about the dude who stink palmed it? Did you see that one?
No.
The guy who stink palmed the Cybertruck?
Oh God, I did see that on Instagram. Yeah, that's
stink palm?
that's commitment, dude. Like, to do something like that, like I kind of respect it a a little bit if you're gonna
You think,
take it that
you think he
far.
washed his hands afterwards?
Hell no.
Wait.
I bet he ate a
stink
cheeseburger. Stink palm.
Disgusting.
Like in his
Bro, you don't know what a stink palm is? You ever watch Mallrats?
I've no lived that. That up there and then that.
You see Mallrats, right?
I have.
Okay, remember he stink palms the dad?
Dude, that's a long time ago.
Oh, come on. It's like the scene in the movie. Jason Lee shoves his hands up his ass, and then he shakes the hand.
Oh, with the pretzels.
And the pretzels.
Yeah, the pretzel scene. Yeah.
It makes the father sick, and he has to split because he got sick.
Yeah.
He's some guy stink palmed a Cybertruck.
Oh, jeez.
Dude,
That's commitment.
He was morbidly obese.
That's what I'm saying, man. Seriously. You're willing to ruin your whole day for somebody else's day, you know?
Oh, we got another guest.
Hey.
Awesome.
Welcome.
What
Hey.
Welcome.
How you
Join the party.
doing?
This is
Thanks
your
for
seat.
swinging by.
We were just talking about that guy who stink palmed the Cybertruck.
Yeah. Just in time for all the disgusting.
Okay, perfect.
Grab the mic. Who are you?
I am Tiffany Cianci. On X, I'm the Vino Mom. On TikTok, I'm Tiffany Cianci.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome.
We did have a guest who was booked, and they told us literally like 20 minutes before the show that they weren't coming. So we were just like, well, they told us they were coming, and sometimes, I kind of feel like I have to give up more information. Oh. So can people not? So look, because people are going to say this. They're going to be like, Tim, don't you have drivers? Well, certain companies with talent that book shows have their own drivers, and it's fairly normal that we don't deal with that. We just confirm, and then they take care of it on their end. And so that's what we just assumed was happening.
That'd be like beating a dead horse, though, if you keep, which is fine. I don't mind.
No, I'm just pointing out, like, the reason why we didn't have a guest today is because companies that we normally work with, other media companies that have talent, usually take care of their own talent. And so when they confirm it with us, then it's just like, we're good. And then we were like, hey, what's going on? Sending messages. And then like only 20 minutes out, they're like, oh yeah, we're sorry. Oh my God, we're not coming. And we were like, what? All right.
Well, appreciate you coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you and
You
Cody.
made it for the back half.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate I don't live that far away. I
Right
drove
on.
Ian Carroll to your old studio when he was on your show.
Oh, cool.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, we know that guy.
Solid.
He thinks that I was trying to buy the Daily Wire, which is not correct.
It's expensive. Very expensive. You have there's a thread going around now, or maybe it's a TikTok post that's going around that just recently went, and you're talking about. I recognize you. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's gone pretty viral, correct?
Yeah, I think about like 28 million views across all the platforms.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little information about that?
Yeah, basically, I was down in Austin with Ian, actually, and I was doing a bunch of research on private equity. That's mostly what I talk about on my channel.
Okay.
I do deep dives on it. And I was doing some research on why Joann's craft store was going out of business. Didn't make any sense to me.
I love Joanne's.
Everybody who crafts anything loves Joann's. And any crafter doesn't want to buy something online. We want to touch it. We want to make sure we can see what it is. So it's the one retail store where you're not going to get us buying stuff online. Mm-hmm. They gained 9.5 million new customers since COVID.
Oh, wow.
97% of their stores were cash positive. And I wanted to know why they were closing down.
Wow.
And I found an article, really obscure Financial Times article, that said it was their back floating rate debt. I'm like, what the hell is that? Am I allowed to curse? I was like,
Try not to.
what the heck is that?
Yeah.
And
That's a mild curse, anyways.
I called some friends at a private equity firm that regularly leak info to me. And I was like, what is this? And they said, we're not supposed to use that term publicly. I said, what is this? And they said, here's some stuff you could research in, and gave me some financial prospectuses. They basically, what I learned was that, like, since in the last 6 to 8 years, private equity firms have stacked like $4 trillion in adjustable rate debt on all these companies.
Oh, wow.
And over the last 3 years, as the interest rates have been like skyrocketing,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why the bankruptcies had doubled each year over 3 years. And I find out that these companies would be succeeding if they weren't 2008 mortgage crisising all these companies they're bankrupting. And I was like, there's no way I'm the first one.
So you're
There
saying
is no way I'm the first one.
the end is nigh?
The end, it feels like it's nigh, I've got to tell you. Like, these companies, the last 3 years.
What did you say it was called?
Back floating rate debt.
Oh, yeah.
For people that don't know, an adjustable rate mortgage, like it changes depending on what the interest rate is.
Yeah.
And so when interest rates rise, the rate of the rate on the mortgage rise, or whatever the debt is, the rate of interest you're paying on the debt rises.
But mortgages are better because it adjusts once a year.
Yeah.
Why don't
In this, it's every 30 to 60 days.
Oh, jeez.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we'll launch a segment for this one because we have your post on X. You said the next 2008 is happening. Party City, Joann's, Forever 21, Big Lots, all collapsing. Do you know about who's the parent company of Billabong and all them?
Oh man, I couldn't tell you off the top.
You know
of my
about this
head.
one?
Yes, I do. They were part of the 2024 record-breaking bankruptcy collection.
Yeah. So you heard this, right? Because this is.
Oh yeah, I just saw her video actually like 2 days ago.
No. But you heard about Billabong and
Volcom, Hurley, all
Volcom,
that,
Hurley.
yeah.
Who
I
owned
think even
it?
RVCA filed as well too. Yeah.
Yep, they're all owned by
I was a
one
huge
company.
Fan of them. Yeah.
Who owned them? What was the name of that company? It's a subsidiary of. You know who owns it? There's one company that owned all of those like action sports brands.
Yep.
They declared bankruptcy too, and that was massive for people in the skate industry because these were like core legacy brands. Kind of paid the bills for a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with them going out of business, we saw this. Yeah, with Big Lots. So you're based. So what are you saying, Tiffany? You're saying that this is the next 2008 happening right now.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Can we short it and make $100 million?
I mean, if you shorted like the CL, so one of the things that was scary about 2008 is they repackaged the bad debt and sold it off as derivatives and as CDOs, and then they did synthetic CDOs. They're repackaging all of this debt as something called CLOs, and they're selling it to all the pension funds.
What?
All the pensions have been buying up this debt. That's what's freaking me out the most because the pensions have been buying into private equity in exponentially increasing numbers over the last like 10 years because pensions are severely underfunded. Lots of them. I've been talking to Ian about Girl Scouts pension getting bankrupted by private equity and Girl Scouts of America.
Yeah, well, didn't they go woke?
They did.
So we don't care about that one.
Yeah.
Here's
They
something I can
definitely did.
sympathize with.
But like, okay, well, don't
I was
sympathize
kidding,
with
by the
CalPERS.
way. I'm sad to say no.
But the Michigan Employees Union, a bunch of the unions that handle like automotive unions, pensions, they're all investing
like
in
what I'm
private
hearing.
equity. And the reason they're doing it is because if you invest in anything with a pension, every time the dividends come every quarter, you have to update what's on your books. But if you invest in private equity, you put the estimated returns for 10 years on your books. So nobody knows how bad it is for 10 years, and you get to hand that off to the next pension manager, and it's their problem.
Okay, so hold on. You got this massively viral video.
Yeah.
It's Party City, Joann's, Forever 21, Big Lots. They're all collapsing.
Yeah.
Are there other companies that are collapsing too?
Hundreds.
Are there ones that have not collapsed yet but will collapse soon?
Yeah.
Do you know?
I mean,
which they
in my opinion, right now, private equity is bankrupting. They're going to short-term gain and then destroy Southwest Airlines.
Is Michael's
I
going?
estimate they'll be
Southwest,
bankrupt in the next year and a half.
Wow.
Because
What was the name of those companies? I'm gonna buy some shorts.
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines.
No, for real?
So everybody's wondering what happened with Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines, they've been trying to say all week, free bags is not in our DNA. Do you know what trademark they own? 2 bags fly free.
Yeah.
They own that trademark and they have defended it and canceled other people's bags fly free trademarks through litigation because it is their DNA.
One of my friends was making remarks. I saw that he tweeted about complaints about Southwest about the baggage stuff.
Well, 1.8 billion in shares got bought up by an activist firm called Elliott Management's private equity firm. And their business is they come in, they buy enough shares to get board seats. And then they come in and they force changes that are bad for the long term for the company, but get short term gains. Then they dump their stock and leave the company like bereft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is Michael's going too? Because I love
Michael's will be next.
I love the craft
What?
shops. They're good. Jeez.
Is it publicly traded?
It's publicly traded right now, but it was taken back public by a private equity firm that's taken them private and then public twice. And so
So-
they're going to get screwed. Like in the game of Monopoly of craft stores, Hobby Lobby will win. If
let's-
there is a God, they will win.
Let's just like super simplify it. Basically, what happens is these businesses are cash positive,
Yep.
but they have to pay massive interest rates. Is that it?
It's worse than that. Like if I had, I'm gonna borrow this.
Little Tim Pool. Are those coasters?
Tim
Yes,
Pool
they are.
LLC coasters. Okay, this is your business. Okay.
All right.
If I buy a house or I buy a car, and I take out the loan, my name is on that loan, and I owe that loan back. If I'm private equity, and I buy a car, that car owns that loan back.
Wait,
Okay.
what?
If I'm private equity and I buy Tim Pool LLC, I don't own that loan. My name's not on that loan. I have no liability if I bankrupt that loan. This Tim Pool LLC owes that money back. I don't have to do anything. I just get free money and I stick it on top of here. So Tim Pool was successful. They were making money and I said, I bet I could get more money out of that. But I'm never going to pay for it. Tim Pool's going to pay for himself. So I borrow money and I make the Tim Pool LLC owe the money back, not me. And then as soon as I get there,
You keep the money that was borrowed.
no, they don't borrow them. I mean, they give that money to whoever they bought it from. And now Tim Pool Company owns the money back when they were free and clear before that. Now what I'm going to do...
I'm still not following. Why take the loan out?
Because Tim Pool is owned by Tim Pool, and I want to own Tim Pool LLC.
So someone wants to buy the company.
The private equity firm wants to buy it.
So a private equity firm wants to buy it. They get a loan, but the debt liability is on the company, not the purchaser.
Not the purchaser, and they have no liability.
So basically the purchaser then owns the company, makes a bunch of profit, lets the loan default?
Worse.
So
not only do they buy the company, but they're going to force the company to sign a contract with them to be the manager, the advisor, and possibly have some kind of other financial role. So now the company owes me money every month as their advisor. Could be $1 million, could be $100 million. So I'm going to start funneling the wealth out of that company to me. Second, I'm going to sell all the land that all their stores are bought on. I'm going to sell all of it out from under them. And I'm going to lease it back to them. And I'm going to dividend all that money to myself. So now I'm literally strip mining every bit of wealth. Now I'm going to take all the assets they have. All the assets they have in their warehouses. I'm going to sell that to a liquidator. So now they have to buy every month and they don't have any cushion. Okay, so I'm going to sell that to a liquidator and I'm going to dividend that back to myself. At the same time, I'm going to make a bunch of cuts so their customer service is going to drop, their sales are going to go down. And whatever's left, I'm going to dividend that to myself. And at the same time, they're still owing all this money. Now they're leasing back the land they owned before. So they have another bill they didn't anticipate. I am expeditiously increasing the rate of which they're going to hit bankruptcy.
So wait. They're breaking it apart and selling it off piece by piece, collecting as much as they can, and then leaving a shipwreck.
Leaving a shipwreck that the American taxpayers pay for, and that we pay all of the, like, if you look at Joann's or Party City or any of these are 250,000 people in the last 3 months that are going to be unemployed.
Jeez.
We now have, you're talking about 100,000 anchor stores and parking lots that are going to be empty.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm conspiracy-minded, but this is orchestrated to make sure that if Trump got elected, he would be faced with a massive collapse that would obstruct his ability to operate.
It's funny you should mention that. Did you happen to notice 4 weeks ago when Trump started saying he was going to close the carried interest loophole? It's the only thing that allows private equity to make money. And he has to get ahead of this because he sees it coming. Wow. He needs to say he did something positive.
Why doesn't he come out and just talk about all the things that just went down and say, I have been in office for now 2 months and we have just uncovered something that's been occurring? When did this start is the question. Because if it started in his first term, then he's on the hook too.
It started earlier than that.
Interesting.
Private equity, when Jimmy Carter was in office, only 35 people could invest. And over that, you had to report to the SEC. We had to see what was happening. Reagan loosened that a little bit. Clinton, when he repealed Glass-Steagall, took most of the guardrails off and expanded it to where it went from 100 people could invest to 1,000 people. He had a bipartisan Congress. It passed with 98%. It's not a one-party problem. Then it got to Obama. All the guardrails came off. Everything. You could have unlimited investors, unlimited amounts of money, and nobody could see. Our SEC couldn't see what was going on. They could be using the same collateral, the same assets to collateralize 50 lines of debt and creating a bubble. We wouldn't know. We have no idea what's going on. It's a black box.
I bet it's worse than that.
I agree.
This is probably, here's what you're probably looking at. There's the tip of a tentacle flopping around and you're pointing to it. Yeah. But if you follow that tentacle back, there's like a giant squid monster. Federal Reserve.
How does the private equity firm get the authority to even start breaking up the company in the first place? The company that, for instance, in your example, Tim Pool, the company, did they agree to this?
So there's lots of ways they can acquire a company, but the easiest way for them to do it is to acquire enough shares or make an offer that it's publicly traded, takeover? That they're required to sell it to them.
Okay, yeah.
Because they have to serve the shareholders. So they take it back private and they just start auctioning it off to the highest bidder.
Yeah, so it's hostile takeover and then just start ripping it apart. I mean, that makes sense.
In the case of the company that, you guys don't know this, but I've been fighting a private equity company in court for the last 4 years. That's how I started all this. And in our instance, it was a hostile takeover. They acquired enough shares from multiple different parties that they were able to force out the founders and take over the company.
A little dirty.
Well, yeah, it's...
Dude, this makes hostile takeover seem super chill and
really
nice and friendly and accountable.
So Michael's is private, right?
It was taken back private again, but I thought they went back to IPO. I have to look.
So they go back and forth, you're saying?
They take them back and forth.
maybe?
Okay. And is that just to sell more off of what they have than the first
It's
time
so
around?
it can change. It changes hands between different private equity firms. That's called selling something on the secondaries market.
Okay.
In the case of Joann's, they took it public and took it private 3 times.
Wow.
And each time it was strip mined a little more and a little more. But COVID gave Joann's this amazing boost.
Yeah.
Because people got hobbies.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to the average person right now, sitting at home, and they just got back from the grocery store with some milk, bread, and eggs? Are they going to lose their job, or is this going to cause housing to crash? What happens?
Well, private equity firms are the largest holder of single-family homes in the United States.
Really?
And most of those were also acquired, I've now learned, using back rate floating debt, which is this adjustable rate debt. So I do think it's driving up home prices, and I think it's doing it exponentially.
Is this related to like the BlackRock, Blackstone kind of thing?
Blackstone is the private equity firm that has the largest single-family housing homes portfolio in the U.S. In the world, actually.
So are they going to default or what?
I mean, I don't think they're going to default because all of those homes they're running out. They're just going to keep raising the prices so people can't afford them.
Don't they just get their money from the Federal Reserve and have infinite money?
I mean, yeah, they do.
Okay, so we're good. Whatever. I mean, you can't go to Joann's anymore, but I didn't go there anyway, so what do I care?
I like making T-shirts, man. T-shirts are fun to make.
We do love making T-shirts,
Yeah.
right? I have a sewing room that's got about 10,000 yards of fabric in it, and I don't know where I'm going to buy it.
This is bad, but I'm kind of wondering what the net positive might actually be. We need a return to Main Street. We don't want big box stores anymore.
Okay.
These are bad for small towns. And so if there is an opportunity, I understand a bad thing is happening. We don't want a bad thing to happen. But I would recommend individuals who are concerned, like right now, your opportunities, if you were a fan of Joann's, open up a small store because guess what? You're about to get 9 million new customers.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And on Main Street.
Main Street is, in my opinion, so like I have my Maha water bottle today, but normally I have one that says in small business we trust. And I say that with my whole chest. Small businesses are the most effective way that any normal American can fight private equity in the shoes they're standing in. But private equity got wind of that and they figured that out. And so they're targeting small businesses now in greater numbers than they ever have before.
What are they doing?
So like on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s podcast, the first time I was on there, I told him about a group called Champions Group. I talked about it on InfoWars today too. On Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s podcast, I told him they're acquiring large swaths of an entire industry. Champions Group is HVAC. And in the Southwest, they've bought up like 85 HVAC small businesses. But they didn't just buy them. They didn't just buy it. They paid for the name, image, likeness of the former owners so that they could keep looking like they were a small business.
Yeah.
Then they installed unified software across all of the thousands of trucks. And so no matter who you call to come look at your frozen air conditioning or condensation line, they're each going to quote you a 3 times higher price than they ever did before. Yep. And they're going to say, oh, I mean, you don't have to trust me. Call these other guys. And everyone comes out and they're all charging you more money all of a sudden. Then they say, wait for it. They say, don't worry, you can't afford this. I know it's 3 times as much as it used to be, COVID, inflation, greedflation, whatever. They're going to say, don't worry, we'll finance it for you. And they'll hand you an iPad like this. And they'll say, just sign right here. They're not going to hand you a truth in lending statement like they're required to by law. They're going to hand you this iPad. And you're going to squiggle it, and you're 85 years old, and it says $100 a month. And you're like, oh, I can't afford it, but I'll try. And then on your first missed payment, they're going to exercise what was in there that was a lien on your house, and they're going to take your house from you.
Holy moly.
You're going to own that too.
Holy moly.
I'll just buy a fan.
lien on your house.
That's terrible.
Yeah, for
It is
back.
so
Buy a
hard.
fan.
It's so hard to understand how hard it is to even find out what a small business is anymore.
Guys,
We haven't had a
is it
Doomcast
really
episode
so
in a while.
bad to just live in the pod and eat the bugs?
I mean, that's,
Right? Like,
This is my first Doomcast. Gloomcast
Stop
episode.
resisting, Raymond. How about we build a pod and you can live in it?
I mean, if it's
And
big enough for
we'll
me
give
and
you
my
the
kitty
bugs.
cats.
right?
Okay, here's my stipulation. I will live in the pod, but it has to be on a 40-foot tall steel post that I can climb to. And then I'm basically looking back. I got to get good music, a TV on the bottom of the pod, and I will sleep in the pod, but I'll live and work around it.
Do you have is your pole, your post, does it have like things to grab onto?
climb
or
up
you,
it.
or you got to shimmy it up like old school? How you getting up there, Tim?
I like the shimmy idea.
I mean, it's
get a
good,
belt.
It's a good workout.
You throw a belt around it.
Oh, that, okay.
You ever climb with the
Okay.
belt?
Yeah.
That way you don't got to worry about intruders. Now, come on, admit it. You guys would love to live on this big tower where you're in this pod with music, you got a TV, and it's glass, and it's looking up at the sky. Imagine that during a thunderstorm.
Ooh.
And you're just laying down in this comfy little pod, and that's amazing.
no thanks.
I don't want to eat the bugs, though. But most people are already eating cochineal mites in their red dyes.
Oh God.
My
You know about that,
talk
right?
about this endlessly. Every time their friends have a nerds are up, they're like, "That's bugs. That's bugs." Every time.
Acheta. Have you seen the acheta popping up in ingredients? Cricket.
Yes.
Acheta, it means cricket.
That's a
They're
cricket
blowing up.
protein,
So
right?
look.
Lady,
I was at
lately.
I was at a grocery store, and we were looking at a bunch of products, and I was like, it says red 40, it says yellow 5, and I'm like, what other company is allowed to obfuscate what their product is? Imagine if instead of like, I don't know, sodium benzoate, they just put safety seal. It's like, oh, it's got safety seal in it. That's right. Or you know, like freshener. Food safety freshener. Like, why are we legally allowing them to change the name of tartrazine to yellow? Cochineal mites. You know all about this.
They call it carmine color.
Carmine
That's the name
color.
they use for it. Carmine color, and it is a parasite that eats blood, and it turns whatever water it touches bright red.
Wow.
And that is what's in nerd ropes. And my kids literally go
What,
from candy
really?
to candy. Carmine color. Look it up.
Nerd ropes?
Yep. Nerd ropes candy.
That's like
You're already eating the
love
bugs.
The ropes.
We are eating the bugs.
That's like Ozempic, which has that poison.
Yo,
tongue.
no. Hold on. We're going to dig into this because take a look at this. It says nerd ropes contain color additives. That includes Oh, look at
Told ya.
that, dude.
Told ya.
Wow. Hey, look at that, bro. With the ban, so West Virginia banned artificial dyes, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, let me pull up Carmine color.
I literally ate them
Show the
last
bugs.
weekend.
It's so gross.
love
So
nerds.
gross. Just show what they look like.
All right. So first, nerds, you can't sue me because I Googled this right here on the internet and it says there's carmine color in your nerd ropes. I looked up carmine and I'm just taking a look at what is that?
That's the insect.
Oh God.
What?
That's what they look like.
It's a cluster.
Female Dactylopius cochineal insects were used for their red coloring as early as 700 BC. The word carmine has been used as color since 1799. So what is this? Carmine, also called cochineal, when it is extracted from the cochineal insect. Cochineal extract, crimson lake, or carmine lake, is a pigment of bright red color obtained from the aluminum complex derived from carminic acid. Is it possible they're getting carmine color from carminic acid?
No, they grind up the bug.
Oh, you're right. Carminic acid is derived from the cochineal insect.
Just
They literally, and they do it like you can grind them up with a knife, and it's the brightest red you can add to anything. And they're putting it in all the candy and all of the kids' drinks.
You know what's really funny is everybody kept saying you will eat the bugs, but people were eating the bugs already.
You are
already
eating.
You are eating the bugs.
to be fair, I would rather have any of these bug-based dyes than the yellow that comes from
yes. Yeah.
from sludge.
Have you
whatever.
guys seen where they get the fake vanilla?
Oh, it's from like a beaver's butt, right?
A
Wait,
beaver's
beaver's
like,
butt?
Yeah.
sex gland,
I don't think it's a sex gland.
something like that.
It's like a scent gland or
It's
something.
a scent gland for their mating ritual.
How many beavers are out there to get that color out? What are they? Just like
That's the
Okay,
artificial
okay.
vanilla.
Yeah, it comes from the beaver butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll spend
Vanillin.
money on real
So
vanilla.
bad.
yeah,
Beaver
mass-producing
butt.
beavers.
Does vanilla flavoring actually come from beaver butts? Okay, it's from Smithsonian. Despite internet claims, castoreum is rarely used as a food flavoring. Oh, well, there you go.
Rarely used today.
I got,
Hey,
guys,
as
I got to
of
be honest.
2 years ago.
I will eat that beaver.
Well, sure.
Fair enough. Touche.
I'm not mad about that.
The women of the world support your.
This is a naughty show. I will literally hunt that small animal, and I will properly gut and prepare it for a fine meal.
I mean, you can just get regular real vanilla.
Yep.
You
It's
know,
amazing, right?
you know, it's
It just costs money.
from beans, and you know,
We got ice cream downstairs that's like the most natural flavored ice cream of vanilla. We do. Yeah, it's natural. It's called natural vanilla. It only has like 7 ingredients compared to everyone
like
else
ice
that has like
cream.
15 and 30.
Love it.
I like ice cream.
It's
a lot.
downstairs in the. It does have gum in it though, for some weird reason.
Whatever.
That's going to be a clip all over X.
Yeah.
I can see everyone.
Oh, your beaver?
Everyone's already posting
I
it.
would eat that beaver. Tim Pool.
Simple.
Well, you just said it now too, so.
Yeah, I did.
Let's see. I asked ChatGPT, what is carmine color? Carmine is a deep red color made from carminic acid, a natural dye derived from crushed cochineal insects, tiny beetles native to Central and South America. It's used in food, cosmetics, and textiles to give a rich red or pink hue. So if you see carmine or cochineal extract, yes, it's insects.
I know that the whole eat the bugs thing that people say, oh, I will not eat the bugs and I will not live in the pod. I personally, and maybe someone else will disagree, but I don't feel like, having insects as an ingredient is the same thing as like being fed like just liquefied bugs as your only source of nutrients, which is what I understand you will eat the bugs to mean. So, but that's just me,
Bro, so what people don't understand, they think you will eat the bugs means that the government's going to come to your house, or you're going to go to the grocery store and they're going to be like, here's a bag of cockroaches, eat them. What they're already doing is they're taking acheta protein, they call it. They take crickets, pulverize them, take the little bits, give it a new fancy name, and then mix it with other things. You're going to the grocery store and you're like, oh, what's this high protein cheese puff? And then you're like, what's the ingredients? It's cornmeal, acheta, cheese, milk, salt, paprika. That looks pretty good. And then you're eating it and you're going, nom, 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 nom. And then someone's like, you're eating cricket, bro. And you're like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. I'm eating cornmeal and acheta. That's right. They changed the name.
So
it's brilliant.
So back to your thing, should be illegal, right?
I think so.
Putting in their fake names.
Yep.
They can call it whatever. They can call it fluffy sauce, but it's really you're eating like turf.
I mean, is even acheta like the real name? Like it's crickets.
So here's something funny. People are posting on YouTube, fix the audio. Guys, that's YouTube, not us. People are posting, they refreshed and it's working again. That's YouTube, not us.
You always have to refresh. If you're new here, you shouldn't be new here. By the way,
people watching on Rumble are having no problem. Yeah. It's almost like YouTube is intentionally sabotaging our show.
Well, they don't want to talk about beaver butts.
No, they don't want us to exist on YouTube.
Good thing Rumble's blown up.
Well,
Yep.
Screw.
Well, there you go. We do have more news to talk about. Let's jump to this story from Mediaite. Daily Show's Jordan Klepper ribs studio audience cheering on Tesla arson. Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism. Indeed.
People.
A network error. Let's try that again.
People are not content to just scream about Elon in a high school gym. They're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson targeting Teslas and Cybertrucks.
This dramatic video shows multiple cars in flames. Police say the attacker used Molotov cocktails. It's the latest in more than a dozen instances of arson and vandalism targeting Tesla.
The same suspect shot more Teslas with a gun. Tesla Cybertrucks were set on fire in Kansas City, and earlier this month, shots fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Cybertrucks on fire in Seattle.
Wow, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh? Cool. Wow. Okay, let me just say, nobody should be breaking the law and blowing up Teslas, especially because if you just wait a few minutes, they'll probably do it by themselves.
I don't understand what that joke was supposed to mean, but sure. Okay. Here's a guy who got banned from X, Rick Wilson.
He's garbage.
So from 30 days to a full suspension, LOL, guess Elon didn't like my video from last night. He was literally banned because he called for people to kill Tesla. And in his post, he literally says attack with a picture of a Tesla on fire, an actual picture, not a drawing.
He then spent a bunch of time saying, oh, you didn't read the piece. You didn't read the piece. You didn't read the piece. No one reads your garbage. And everyone picked up what you were implying in the first place, Rick, you garbage can.
I think he should be investigated. Here's says, this is the article that got me banned on Twitter. Nazis fine, racist feeks, okay? Describing a social and media campaign to hit Tesla stock price. Sissy SpaceX freaks out. Yeah, it's a picture of the Cybertruck explosion in front of the Trump building, and it reads, kill Tesla, save the country. Elon has a weak spot, attack. And, bro, I'm sorry. That's an imminent threat. You're literally saying Elon has a weak spot, attack. Okay, in the context of the picture of the flaming car you posted, no one's assuming that you mean figuratively in his stock price.
No, 100% not.
He knew what he was doing. He's he's an absolute piece of trash.
Right. So the issue that we're dealing with now in this country is Trump's a wartime president. And that's my point. The people are cheering in the audience of New York for overt terror against political targets. And the right is particularly naive and has been for some time. And I don't know what's going to take for them to finally realize that it's not a call to action. I'm not saying to do anything. I'm just saying start to realize what the left has out for you.
Yeah. So just ignore them.
And they've had it out for us for so long. Like, listen, before I knew things were bad before the election, and things were getting bad, and we had to fight fire with fire. And then once Trump won, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, we can start doing what we want to do, try to save America the best we can. And now it's just the judges and all these people, and then this violence and this terribleness that's going on. Can we get a win, please?
Did you guys see all of the creators that are getting swatted right now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So my friend Anna Matson posted from her Tesla the other day. She was driving and she posted, and she was immediately doxxed online.
Jeez.
She was terrified.
She posted what?
Someone went on. She was just making a video. She's a creator. She does a lot on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Like someone walked up to her and filmed her car or something?
No, she was posting from her Tesla. She went out from to sit in it and make a video.
Yeah.
And somebody realized it was a Tesla, and they went online and they doxed her.
From her video, they saw she was in a Tesla.
Wow. And they doxed her online and told people to do what it.
I own 3 Teslas. I say when we go to DC on the weekend, everybody drives one.
The important thing, at least for me personally, the important thing isn't the number of Teslas that I own; it's the number of guns I own.
Oh.
I own 3 Teslas. I'm gonna be driving them around, and I guarantee you nothing's gonna happen to my Tesla.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting going to DC. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think largely what the issue is there are a lot of tax on Tesla, but it is spread out all over the country, and the average person who has a Tesla is probably not going to be experiencing something like this. But there are a lot of people in cities who are very scared. But I think it'll be really fun to drive around a Cybertruck. You see the video where the guy flicked off the Cybertruck and the guy had like the kid in his car?
Oh, the guy he started pounding on it and flicked
No,
it off.
it's like they're red light and the guy's just flipping off. He's just sitting there with his hand out the window.
Oh.
I'm like, bro, your tears sustain me. I am going to drive around in my Cybertruck, and when people start screaming at me, I'm just going to blast Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter.
All of the people doing things to these cars, because I did not know that a Tesla records anyone that walks up to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that video from DFW Airport of that guy keying the side of the Cybertruck and his face coming all the way down. I was like, he did not know that camera was watching him.
Do these people not realize Teslas have like 12 cameras on them?
They don't. That's how uninformed and stupid they are.
Now, I will say this. Elon, hear my plea. I need to be able to look at the cabin camera when other people are driving it. They disable that. I don't understand. It's my car. I'm logged in. Because when you valet it, So there's some places where we brought Cybertruck, and the valets aren't allowed to go in it for a couple of reasons. They say it's like, because it's hard to drive or whatever. No, it's because it's a weird. I don't know about right now. But at least some of the places we've gone to where they're like, we can't valet a Cybertruck. You can park it right here and leave it up front. And so I just park it and then I get a preferred parking space basically. But it's because the company doesn't want people joyriding in Cybertrucks because they're all going to want to post pictures. So they said no one's allowed to go in them. So when I park, I've got a Model 3, a Model S, and a Cybertruck. When they are getting valeted, I open my app. And you can, at any time, you can open your app and look at all the cameras on your car. I can look at my cabin right now. So when I got a valet going in it, the camera turns off the moment he sits down. Why? Seriously, why? Elon, why?
It is weird.
It's my car. They're a valet. I'm letting them use it. I want to make sure they're not rifling through my stuff. Right?
Yeah.
My guesstimation is, so I don't know if you guys know this, but like Maryland, Virginia, there's several states where you have to have 2-party consent explicitly to record someone or to videotape them. I don't know if you guys know why that exists.
That's audio,
because,
not video.
It's video too in Virginia and Maryland because that's where Linda Tripp and Monica Lewinsky were. That's why that law passed there. But my guess is it's because some states are very explicit in those laws and they just don't want to run afoul of them. But if it's your car, then I don't see why.
Right, if it's your personal property.
It's your car. There's no expectation of privacy in your car.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe Virginia, but typically video doesn't fall under one-party consent restrictions. It's audio recording, which is specifically
So does it
covered.
not have audio too? It's just video?
Yeah, it's just video.
Okay.
So the issue with party consent is, are you party to the conversation? If there's no conversation being recorded, video's fine. And that would also create problems for surveillance cameras outside of restaurants or even inside of buildings. So, which literally happens in Chicago. I kid you not.
So you have to be actually involved in the conversation for you to have to require.
So there's one party, two party, and all party consent states.
Yeah.
I think DC is one party consent. No. Yeah, I think DC is two party. One party consent means no, it might be one party. One party means that if I'm sitting down with Cody here, I can record without his knowledge because I am part of the conversation and I consent to the recording. If it's a two-party consent, what's funny is when they passed these laws, they intended for two-party to mean like everybody in the conversation is aware because you're talking to somebody. But then people started arguing there's 5 people in the conversation and 2 of us agree to record.
DC's one party.
Yeah, so DC's one party.
Yeah.
Because the issue that came up with Nick Sorter when he got that recording of Swalwell was the question of whether or not he was in the conversation. And I said, bro, you're in public. There is no party consent because literally everybody in the room was party to that conversation.
Yeah, there's no expectation of privacy in public.
Right. So there's all party consent states where anybody involved, they all have to agree. You'll find that in places like Illinois where they will put you in prison because they are a crooked and corrupt state. The only reason to have those laws is because they're corrupt. Not entirely, to be fair. There's espionage laws. Like I'm not a big fan. It's tough between one and two party or all party. Me personally, if I'm having a private conversation with something about something personal and they're secretly recording me, like had I known that was happening, I wouldn't want that to happen. And I'm not talking about untoward behavior. Like by all means, expose the people, journalists who are doing this. That's totally different. I'm saying like how messed up would it be if you're talking to someone and explaining like a family member with cancer that no one knows about, and we're now in financial struggles and I'm embarrassed, and then they're like, oh, I got this, it's going to be great, and they start spreading that around. So there are reasons why states ban that other than corruption, but for the most part, don't talk about things in public or with people you don't trust.
Yeah, trust is the big one there. If you don't trust someone, don't tell them your inner secrets or what's going on with your life and whatnot. Right, Cody?
Yeah, I've told you too much, haven't I, Raymond?
I was just thinking about the fact that I rent Teslas on Turo all the time, and I'm wondering how many times people have looked at me like
You had what?
I rent them on Turo.
Oh, yeah, dude.
all the time when I'm
Everything you
traveling.
did was recorded.
I know.
Yeah. I for all last year, I was going to, not last year, I'm sorry, in 2023, I was going to LA regularly to do stuff, and I was renting a Tesla every time I went out there, Model 3. That was a big part of the reason why I wanted to get a Tesla for myself, is because
we gotta jump to at least one more segment here. We have this clip from CNN. This is massive. Nick Adams says Kevin O'Leary nails it on multiple points. Listen to this. I'm going to set this one up. Kevin O'Leary points out 2 things. The arsonist, the attacks on Tesla should go to prison, but more importantly, when Tim Walz was cheering for the Tesla stock going down, Minnesota has 1.6 million shares of Tesla in its pension fund. Holy crap. Listen to this.
Point 1. When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to talk about it in any other context. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal, and you should go
What about the broader
to
question
jail.
about the protest factor? I mean, you heard
What
Tim Walz.
protest? You're a criminal.
I'm talking about Tim Walz and his comments about the Tesla stock. He says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state. It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state.
I mean,
that's their investment fund.
Point,
what a bozo.
The minute
1.6 million in their pension fund as of the end of last June, so July 1st. There's a question, maybe they sold it all out at its peak and turned a fat profit because it's skyrocketed in value. I doubt it. They probably held on to it Maybe they sold when it dropped down quite a bit. They also hold, I think, a couple 100,000 in a general investment fund of some sort.
Someone should show them how much they have in private equity.
That's absolutely insane. These leftists that are cheering and gloating for this stuff, they really have no idea what they're talking about. And they're celebrating the demise of their own constituents and themselves.
I mean, you talked about it the other night, that it's almost suicidal rage that he, it doesn't matter who gets hurt if it's his friends or whatever, just so long as bad things happen to the people I don't like. And that you see that on the left a lot nowadays.
It's really become the snake that's eating itself. Let's just talk about, first of all, my channel's deeply purple. I have people from both sides that watch everything I do. And most of what I talk about is very populist in nature. It's got a lot of appeal to both sides. But when you talk about the fact that the left was the party of health food and vegans and healthy living, and they were the party of we want the electric cars and they've literally forfeited all of that in a matter of months, saying this is not us anymore. What are you? Are you the party of McDonald's and we want more gas? What are you then? What are you? They don't know what they are, and that's really the biggest problem they have. They are adrift with no port. They have no direction. They have no navigator, and that's really the problem.
They're the party of anger and being mad about everything that doesn't go their way.
Yeah, and that's something that we've been talking about on the show here, is the fact that because the left has no leader and they have they've given up the middle class. They've given up the working class. They're the party of the super wealthy and the extremely poor. And they use the extremely poor and the super wealthy against the middle and working class in the United States. And that's why MAGA is so has so many people that are, just middle class and working class people. They're like, look, you guys don't care about us. You're all wrapped up in this identity stuff. You're focusing on the margins. They're focusing on LGBT people, on racial issues and stuff that before the left became ascendant, a lot of these racial issues that people talk about nowadays, most of America had kind of thought that they were a thing of the past. We had gotten to a point where in a good portion of America was like, you know what, maybe we don't have a problem with racism anymore. Maybe there's a small part of America that has a problem with it, but most of us don't. That was the feeling that most people had when Barack Obama was elected. And the left has totally abandoned all of the middle class, all the working class, all the people that they were supposed to champion in favor of racial grievance over sexuality, men versus women. They've totally destroyed the Democrat Party as it used to be, and so now they have no idea who they are.
I had somebody say something to me just a few days ago, actually, on this exact line of thinking. They were the party of tech. They were the party of the unions. They were the party of the middle class. And at this point, they are a party. And this is the way they described it to me. They said that the left has become a party of infinite revolution.
Yes.
They're constantly chasing a revolution because they don't have any direction to serve where they are.
The message is not the message.
And that's what I was. And I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah. Now, I very much, my entire channel is about saying we're not left versus right. We should be up versus down, that we have an up versus down problem in this country.
Yeah.
And that we have corporate capture of both sides of our government. The Republicans have managed to capture a significant and increasingly large section of the working class to keep it. They're going to have to change a lot of what they do, too. A lot of that populist stuff has changed.
But to be fair,
But they have direction.
Donald Trump is that change. Yeah. Because before Donald Trump, you had your Mitt Romneys, private equity firms. You had your John McCain's. You had your sensible Republicans, people like Bill Kristol, who's now not a Republican, but he was a Republican. He was one of the people that was all for the Iraq War. Those were the people that were hated as Republicans. And then when Donald Trump came in, he totally reshaped what the party was. And the left hate him because he actually took the people that were Bernie fans and he took them into the MAGA party. There were people that liked Bernie, and because Bernie has no spine at all, because he was too weak to be a leader, they moved to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has the populist center, center right, honestly, but the working class. That's who he
I
is.
talk about this.
Bernie has no spine because he's some kind of scarecrow. And he's like, it's a wooden post.
Yeah.
And didn't Trump get like 9 million of the Obama voters?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in 2016,
Yes.
Bernie I personally was affiliated with a lot of Bernie supporters, the ones that marched all the way to the convention to cast those electoral votes for him. And I will tell you that the never Hillarys crossed from Bernie to Trump and delivered Trump that year.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely.
They did. And I talk about this all the time. Do you guys know that Bernie is like 6'3"?
No.
What?
Bernie
No, he's not.
Sanders?
Yes, he is. Look it up.
What?
He's huge.
I've met him before.
He's super tall. He's like over 6 feet tall. I always picture him as like 5'4", but he's not. He's super
He's
tall.
6 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him
Anyone
before. He's
picture him
not
that
6.
way? Like when you think of mittens,
6'3", yeah.
he's like really. Well, I'm short, so, but like
Yeah.
I always pictured him as like my size
I gotcha.
in the mittens. I did not
He does
know he was
look
tall.
like he
does,
looks
right?
like
He
his
doesn't look
shoulders.
tall.
He looks like his shoulders start where his
He's
ears
so big.
are. You know.
I seen an article not too long ago talking good about him.
He's a flat 6, and then he's a little hunched over.
Oh.
Because when I met him, he's like the same height as me.
Are you 6 feet tall? I don't know.
I'm 5'10".
I am very small. I am not.
I'm 5'11" and a half.
I was like, huh. Then I met Ian Carroll, who's like 6'8", and I was like,
Yeah.
huh.
Wait, he's
6'53".
6'8"?
6'7" or 6'8". My brother's 6'7". He's about the same height.
All right.
When Ian Carroll came in, he was his
He was
Yeah.
hitting his head on the lights.
And his pants are always too short because I don't make them long enough.
he was adjusting the cables for us on the studio lights.
Oh, I appreciate it, Ian.
I was on Sean Mike Kelly's podcast last week, and I brought Ian. He filmed one right after me, and I took a picture with both of them because Sean Kelly, he's
12 feet tall,
6'5" or 6'6", and Ian is 6'7".
Oh, was Sean the guy on the
that's
show
how
a
he's
couple weeks ago who
6'7",
was
huh?
ginormous?
He's 6'7" or 6'8".
Okay.
He's never been on the show.
He's really tall.
That's huge.
12 feet tall.
Because there's a guy like 6. His name was like literally 7'3" something.
Oh, you mean 6'7" Kevin?
Oh yeah, 6'7" Kevin. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy was adjusting our lights for us. I mean, it's a standard ceiling, but when you're up there, it's like we could use the help.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I gotta get a stool. Yeah, but it is funny when people don't know this that Charlie Kirk and Vosh are both like 6'5".
What?
Yes.
Vosh
No
is 6'5",
way.
Really?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's so
you ever
weird
see
when
the
you
photo
see
of
someone on
Vosh
TV and you just
Right.
assume.
And
they're
so there's a
normal.
picture of me with
Yeah,
them, and I'm 5'10", and they're both like 6'5", and so I look real short. And then we did. Elijah came over, and I was making fun of David Portnoy, and I like David Portnoy. I'm a big fan, but he had all those photos that went viral where he's on his tippy toes. And so when Elijah was like, "We get a photo," I was like, "Yeah, let me do the Dave Portnoy." It's a joke, but he actually posted the photo. And then liberals don't know they don't get the joke. So they're like, "Look at Tim Pool trying to make himself look taller. He's so short." So then when Elijah came back, he was like, "Don't worry, I'll make it up to you." And then he took his shoes off and put his knees in his shoes.
Still have the pictures on my phone. They came out great.
And then I'm all tall, and I'm like, yeah, it was fun.
Liberals have no humor. Like they don't get anything. They take everything at face value.
Oh, dude,
extremely angry.
it's crazy. I go to all these liberal subreddits. It's a treasure trove of information and content. It's how we find our videos, you know.
Yeah.
And just reading these people's comments, it's insane how dumb they are.
I bet.
It's crazy. Like we talked about on the show where they thought that Anonymous was a real group.
God.
And they're going like, "Wow, I hope Anonymous doesn't do this, that, or otherwise." And I'm like, "Oh my God, did they not Google this?"
Of course not.
Okay.
But then there's one recently on one of the liberal subreddits where they're like, "These maggots," as they call them, maggots,
Of course.
think that there's actually 300-year-olds getting Social Security checks? Are they dumb? People don't live that long. And then it's like, and I'm reading it like, are you kidding? And there's comments where they're like, are they so stupid? Social Security didn't even exist back then. And it's like, holy crap. They're really that dumb. Guys, please, if you see this, the issue is the database is corrupted. Not that Elon thinks there's a 300-year-old man getting a check. Yeah. It's concerns about whether or not they're properly tracking the database, why it's not clean. And then someone said, "I bet it's just because it's cost prohibitive to delete someone's name from the database." No, it isn't. You could look, the fact that they work in a mine shaft for government documents, whatever that retirement thing is, where like they bring the folders into
that's nuts.
Was it a limestone cavern or something?
Have you ever covered the underground cheese cave? What? The government owns?
Where they have cheese, yeah.
Government cheese, where government cheese actually comes from. We have a giant cave underground.
Still?
Filled with billions of pounds of cheese.
Billions of pounds.
Still, though.
Hundreds of millions? Billions? It's a lot of pounds of cheese. Still, no, right now.
Wow, I knew it. I thought
cheese.
by now it'd be gone.
We have processed billions of pounds of cheese through this cave.
Well, how stupid they are and dumb they are. I'm so surprised. It's in Missouri, by the way. How they are even close to even winning any elections or winning anything. They're close. Like they're not far away, and they're so dumb.
It's a limestone mine.
Our word.
It's a USDA limestone mine storage facility for processed cheese products.
Yep.
Yeah, government cheese came from the excess cheese they were giving to welfare recipients. I mean, come on, bro. If you gave me like a big block of Velveeta, I'd be stoked.
I'm so happy.
I'm seeing it home and the government shows up, the postman's like, here's your cheese. I'd be like, this.
I grew up
good,
on
man.
welfare in a foster household, and we did not get cheese. We did not get fancy things. I got ramen.
We used to get the big block of Velveeta from Aldi. You guys ever have that?
Yeah, there's
One
no cheese
big
in that.
No, I don't know what it is, but it's really good.
It's really good.
And you just cut a slice and you put it between bread, and then you put ketchup on it.
You mix it with Rotel and put it in the microwave, and then you dip chips in it. Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Speaking of welfare, hopefully
Rotel is
RFK and
great.
Trump makes people you can't buy fatty foods with welfare anymore.
Did you
Or
see
soda.
that hearing?
I did. That's what
Where the American Heart Association was like, we cannot stop them from buying soda and chips. And one of the senators was like, do you understand what you're testifying on? Because I am shocked. And the American Heart Association, and then you look where American Heart Association gets all their funding from. It's Pepsi Cola, and it's like McDonald's, and they're getting paid literally to keep the problem. Like let's just say, if we solved heart disease, would they still have jobs? I'm just saying. Do you know that the Diabetes Association, they took money from Coca-Cola or Pepsi Cola, I don't remember which one, to stop objecting to having the sodas available in all the hospitals. There was a bill that was being passed to remove soda from the hospitals. And they removed their objections because they took money from Pepsi
I
Cola
think
and Coca-Cola.
RFK Jr. should hold a press conference, rip his shirt off, like, we are banning all of the junk food. No more Taco Bell. No more McDonald's. You will eat salads and steak. And then he starts handing out steaks, filet mignon, medium rare, to the
everyone.
children.
I'm going to that meeting.
To children. Yes. Let's go to Super Chats, my friends. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button and share the show with everyone you know. For each like we get on this show, it represents symbolically how many years in prison Fauci will get. So I've figured out the way to get people to smash the like button, because before I was like, smash the like button, whatever. And then people were like, sure, I guess, whatever. And then I was like, it's how many years Fauci should be in prison? And now we're getting like 20,000 likes. Everyone's just like, I can't smash it enough. We're going to have an uncensored call-in show in about 20 minutes at rumble.com/Timcast IRL for all you guys who are Rumble Premium members. So sign up at Rumble Premium, use promo code TIM10. Not so family friendly, but always fun and funny. And y'all, the members of our Discord server at timcast.com, can call in and talk to us and our guest. But let's read your Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder says, hey, gang, yesterday y'all were talking about the advancements in robotics and AI. I recommend Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil from 1990. One of his 147 predictions, all but 3 have happened within a year of his predictions.
Wow.
Whoa. If we had $20,000 to drop, we could buy one of those human robots.
Yeah.
I'd rather get the Atlas one, though. I want to fight it.
I like the dog that blows the flames out of everything. Yeah. I like that guy.
Those dogs, like...
Scares the heck out of me.
Yeah. So the
dog robot that like shoots flames.
The human robots you can buy right now are like 20 grand, and they're garbage. They just walk. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like you can kick it and it won't fall over, but I don't know what's the point of having it. Apparently, you can program it to do simple tasks, but it's not AI. The Atlas one is crazy. It's doing like rolls and
Is
stuff.
that the breakdancing one?
Yeah, the breakdancing one. The robot dogs, however, you can buy, and they're like 10 grand, and they patrol.
Yeah.
So you can actually have them walk around the property, and then they walk to the charger when they're low and charge themselves.
I want that one. That's the one I want. I want that.
Imagine like
friend of the show, Luke, filmed one at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, but I'm just imagining like here on at the studio, someone's trying to like sneak in, and then just a whole bunch of robot dogs start chasing them, and the guy's screaming, and then they start just like trampling them. It's like, get out of here. All right. Anyway, Isaac Vanderbilt says the quartering is having to sell all his stuff for money? What? He just said he was poor and needed money.
I know he's selling cookbooks and stuff like that for a new studio. But I feel like
pretty sure he's rich.
Yeah,
his shows.
He's built a house.
I've been to his house.
Oh, you have? Yeah, he's built
Yeah,
a
I'm
brand
jealous
new one.
of it.
Yeah,
You got a new one?
no, he did like 2 years ago. He built a brand new spot up in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's where I went.
He has a whole other job outside of YouTube and stuff too, if I understand. Yeah, like he had his actual business and job, and he built the quartering and had started his coffee business before he even while he was doing his other job that was paid well as well. So I don't know. No, I'm not
Hopefully
saying
he
that I
stopped
know.
that job. And
All right.
now could do this full time.
Michael Guinness says, yo, Tim, you hear about the underground structures they just found under the pyramids in Egypt? Alex Jones did a segment on it. It's legit.
Wait, what?
We did this last night on Club Maha.
What's going on under the pyramids? There's
So they found, I think
robots?
it's 8. No, they found 8 cylindrical structures. They're not sure if they're empty or full. They're solid. And they go down 2 kilometers into the sand. 2 kilometers. And then there is a coil. Some people are saying a staircase wrapped around each one, and there are cylinders. And then on top of the cylinders, within the pyramid, are 5 individual chambers, like 5 stories high, made of red granite. They use this special, imaging software that can see down underground, like miles. And 2 kilometers down, there are these big cylinders, and there's 8 of them.
I gotta look
and
at
the
that.
coils around them.
I mean, Alex Jones.
Oh,
is
yeah,
pretty
look at
right.
that.
It's crazy. And they're saying that they're trying to get it peer-reviewed as fast as possible because everyone is talking about it.
I mean, don't we think they had electricity back in the day?
So I was on with Dustin on Club Maha last night, and he said that to him, and he's big on conspiracy talk, right? He and Ian were talking about it, and they were like, that is a battery structure. That is a coil, and that is a charging station. You can say whatever that is a battery. That is battery architecture. That is power generating is what that is. And I was like, I don't know, but he was very sure.
Well,
yeah.
Huh. I'll have to look into it. We'll try and figure that one out.
Extremely interesting.
Indeed.
Anne Marie says that's now what Jeremy said. Do you mean that's not what he said?
Probably.
That's not what he said?
I'm sure he didn't. I watch him every once in a while.
Occupant 42 says waiting for a Freeze Peach skateboard. That's a good idea.
Freeze Peach?
Hey.
Jessica's probably listening. Should we design a frozen peach and put Freeze Peach?
What does that even mean?
It means free speech.
Oh.
I like it. Say yes.
Cool.
All right. Jamie Brockendahl says, I'll fill in for the guest on my way. How long is the drive from Connecticut? 7 hours?
7 hours. Well, 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah. It's like 7.5 to New Hampshire, and depending on where.
Well, if you're at the border outside New York, you can do it in 4. Depends on where you are.
Yeah, you got to get pretty heavy on the pedal though to get to.
That's what I did.
Nice.
I live close to here, but I was at work, so I had to haul.
What have we here? CES says, sitting here in the hospital with my wife and my newborn son a few hours ago, wanted to join in on the tradition of commenting from the hospital.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Hurrah, brother.
Very amazing.
One of the best traditions online on shows and podcasts to go in.
The people just always super chatting, being like,
and you did too. Everyone does.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
The baby currently is at home, fat and happy.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Hurrah. Hurrah.
Let's see. Marcus M said, Tim, Elon deleted 3.2 million 120-plus-year-olds from Social Security. How will vampires, liches, and Democrat voters afford the cost of unaliving now?
Unreal.
I'll invest in private equity.
And this is the funny thing, like, Elon did not come out and say, we are paying people who claim to be 100. He said, the database has a list of all of these people. That's crazy. Right. My interpretation immediately was the database does not get cleaned up.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a hodgepodge mess. There are concerns that people die and their families keep cashing their checks. Because when a person is getting Social Security and they're infirm or whatever, they'll have a family member do it for them. That's called fraud.
When I worked the welfare office, I would got stuff like, it'd be like 8, 9, 10 months later of the death certificate to know, like, to take them off of getting food stamps and getting benefits. So it can go a long time without people. I mean, no, I don't know about 150 years, but if they don't report it right away, we don't take them off. They still receive it.
My husband's a federal attorney, and at his agency, all I'm going to say, I don't want to cause trouble for him and his agency, but like all I'm going to say is like, if you think there's not infinite quantities of waste going on in every bureaucracy in our government, you don't understand our government. And at his agency, we're also seeing a lot of corruption from China in his agency.
Whoa.
Like a ton of it.
Wow.
And I'm just saying, like, and the leadership of his agency is actually actively undermining this administration. So.
Romy426 says, hey, Tim, just curious on your curious NFET. I think it's a typo. Your thoughts are on President Trump bombing Yemen and Tulsis flipping on the issue.
Tulsi?
I'm going to try and fix that by saying, curious what your thoughts are on President Trump bombing Yemen and Tulsi's flipping on the issue. I did not hear what Tulsi had to say. I can't really comment on it. We have not. So there's a lot of questions first. Are we bombing Yemen civilian targets, or are we bombing specifically armed militants in the Red Sea? Those are important distinctions. If we are actively engaged in commando raids, airstrikes, or whatever in Yemen, that is wrong. It should not be done, and President Trump should not be doing it. And in fact, he told me, because the clip went viral, you don't need to do that. You can talk to them. I do believe that was before the Houthis started attacking cargo ships and blowing them up and stuff like that. So circumstances do change. I am no fan of military intervention in areas without congressional approval. But I can't say that I know enough about the specific targets, nor like exactly what's going on, nor what Tulsi said, other than I can just say, generally speaking, we shouldn't be bombing countries we're not at war with. And if the Houthis are causing problems, then Trump should simply issue a letter of marque. And then we should not be sending the U.S. military to do it. We should be hiring private.
Do you think
there should be security forces? That's what marque and reprisal is for.
Do you think we're getting to a point where we're no longer going to have Congress to declare war? It's always going to be the president.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's World War II, baby.
That's what I'm saying. Are we going to?
Are we getting to the point? We're 70 years after it.
Well,
I'm with
saying like where it's common practice. Shall I
It
say?
is.
Yeah, it is.
The war is not a war has not been declared by Congress since World War II. So Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq again.
Take it back.
Yeah. I mean, you look at
Israel,
9/11,
Ukraine,
we got some congressional support though, right? Post 9/11, we got
the authorization for use of military force,
which they didn't have. They didn't have constitutional authority to do. They literally abdicated their authority, which the Constitution doesn't give them the power to say, "Hey, President, you can decide." It's Congress's responsibility. It's not a privilege. It's their responsibility, and they totally dropped the ball on that because they didn't want to go back to their constituents and actually say, "I voted yes or no."
on this issue. I'm going to say something I only ever said one time on my channel before, and that is I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this issue.
So we got Matt Rides and Just Because I'm Free. Matt Rides says, you should, Rumble Rant, you should invite Brandon Herrera. He could follow you with his cyber truck, which has a 50 cal mounted on it, plus the armed guards for added flair. Just Because I'm Free says, remember when Brandon Herrera put a 50 cal on a cyber truck to make it look like a warthog from Halo?
He's got
saying that was awesome.
It's sick.
Brandon Herrera is always welcome to come on the show. We're big fans.
It was a great video.
Yep. Here's a good one. Mike S. says, Trump is imposing the will of the people. Democrats are imposing their will on the people.
Yeah.
Ooh, based.
I mean, that's catchy.
True chat. Wait, it's catchy?
That's catchy.
Accurate, yeah.
That's a bumper sticker.
Yeah, maybe we should make a t-shirt.
Jessica?
There you go.
Well, yeah. We'll see what we get. We're making 28th Amendment t-shirts.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, the right to keep, bear, and breed chickens shall not be infringed.
What about ball
I
caps?
support this. Yes.
That's my 20th Amendment. That's my proposal for the 20th Amendment. That chickens being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep, bear, and breed chickens shall not be infringed. And the surface of it is a joke because chickens are awesome and they're hilarious. But the spirit of it is that the American people have a right to produce their own food. Yeah. And right now they don't. In most places, you can't have animals. You can't even have gardens. That's kind of crazy. And then you're dependent on this chemical machine state to eat your pills.
I 1,000% agree with you on that. Like,
it's kind of wild that we need supplements. People don't realize we used to eat dirt. I don't mean we literally would scoop up dirt and eat it. We'd pull things out of the ground and there'd be dirt on it. And the dirt had B vitamins and other bacteria and stuff. And we just eat it. But now we're like, scrub it.
Speaking of things that have been like, I just read an article today about an experiment that was done in another country where they gave as many families as they wanted them 3 chickens. They were allowed to have 3 chickens each. And as many families as wanted them, like 2,000 families in one community took these 3 chickens. Yeah. Okay. And within a year, they reduced waste because they were eating the kitchen waste. They reduced waste in the landfill by like 100,000 tons. Wow. Because the chickens were procreating and they were eating all the food waste. So they didn't have any trash
The best thing about chickens.
And they were eating all the food.
We need to send a bunch of the
The best thing about chickens, they make more of themselves.
Yes, they
If
do.
you just like leave them off to their business, you'll come back and there will be more of them and they'll be running around.
The worst thing about chickens is the rooster that lived in the house behind mine.
Nah, roosters are based. Roosters are great. We got many of them. We ate a bunch of them.
That rooster ruined so many videos I was
I think we
recording.
still have some in the deep freezer, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we used to have the chicken city right outside of Ian's window.
Yeah.
And like he was losing his mind because the dude has an inverted sleep schedule. So when he would come on the show, he would wake up at like 6:30 p.m., take a shower, and then walk in his pajamas, having
And his
just
hair's all wet.
hair's all wet,
Yeah.
and people were complaining about it.
Were they?
Well, yeah, it was clear that he didn't take care of himself. He was treating it like I just got up in the morning. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
He turned it around. I'm not trying to drag the guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he would go to bed at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m, and then the rooster at 6 a.m. would, and he'd be like, That's kind of funny. That's what you get, Ian.
The rooster that lived behind
Shout
me
out Moonlord.
thought every pair of headlights that drove by the street was definitely the sun. And so all night long,
Well, no,
we'd crow.
roosters crow 24/7.
Yeah, it was intense.
Roosters are either sleeping or they're crowing. A lot of people think roosters crow when the sun comes up.
No, they're going.
No.
Yeah.
We've got the what are they called?
Yeah.
The bonsai chickens. What are they called?
The ones with the foof hair.
No, the little bitty ones.
I don't know those little guys.
What's the word?
Bonsai chickens?
Yeah, they're not really called bonsai chickens.
Bonsai-
They're
Let
the
me-
small
Let
ones.
me check. Small bonsai chickens.
I don't know.
Bonsai chickens.
We have a herd of chickens on
Someone's
my
gonna
block.
tell
I
me
live
in the
like on a
chat what they're
historic
called.
block, and we have a herd.
Oh,
We call
the
them-
bantams.
Bantams. There you go.
Chicken. Yeah.
Bantams. Yeah, they're really tiny.
Those are good-looking guys,
They can
too.
fly.
They're cool.
And the roosters, yeah, they do the same crow, but instead of going, they go, and then you're just like, bro, you're scaring nobody.
I know today.
You're just screaming, "Eat me!"
I was in there today with Kim, and they have some of them have like a face mask on, like from
Yeah.
the Silencer, instead of lambs. Like, they can't attack. With each other.
It's a thing that goes in their nose, so they can't see forward because they peck each other. And now they're like, and then when we would throw the food at them, they'd be like,
Hey, Edward Norton.
So what's the? They're gonna die of starvation then?
"No, they can eat. It's a little harder for them."
No doubt.
So we would throw leftover sashimi from like on Fridays we get sushi, and then all the chickens run and they play rugby with it. So if you have we've got 30 chickens, right? You throw a piece of salmon in and they'll get it and they all just chase each other and it's amazing.
Yeah, they're fighting over it.
That's why I keep saying I don't understand how depression exists if chickens exist as well. And I believe that what we should do is if you know someone's depressed, bring them to a group of chickens and let them throw fish into the chicken coop. They'll be laughing in 3 seconds. You just can't help it. It's part of our evolution. It's why chickens are a part of human culture.
Dinosaurs to chickens. There it is. Now we know why they made it in the dinosaurs.
Bam.
They're hilarious.
I tried catching one earlier today. No, I'm close.
You know how to pick up a chicken, right?
No.
You don't chase
My
it.
hands?
You don't chase it. You don't reach down for it. You crouch down and you put your hand under it and you lift your hand up and they scoop right up and they look at you and they're just looking down like, what just happened?
I know how to do that. You put them down and you put that line down and you're supposed to.
hypnotizes them.
I haven't tried that yet, but I'd like to.
Well, you shouldn't because it messes. It's bad for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So know.
Yeah.
But Roberto was hypnotized a couple times, and he's like 3 or 4 years old now. That's crazy.
there.
Yeah, I think is what the only original chicken we have left. Roberto and Sarah.
I don't know, but there's a couple ladies that have been around. I'm not sure if they're still around or not.
Maybe Margaret's still there. She was the OG. I don't think she lays eggs anymore. Yeah. I got to pick up eggs now that
I just got a carton today, ladies and gentlemen.
I got to make sure there's eggs left over because I got to make waffles tomorrow.
There's at least 2. There's a bunch over there.
Every morning, I make my wife breakfast because she has to feed the baby. I have to feed the wife. That's it. That's
Good trade.
That's what we do. And I added whey protein this morning. I was like, got to make sure the missus gets the good protein, and the baby's got to get the good protein too after the fact. Let's grab a couple more super chats here. Patrick Bannon says, "Do you think Abe Lincoln worried about that? They are using our systems against us. I have one question for you. If not now, when?" So the point is, Abraham Lincoln is the most popular president in history. When people are asked over and over again, they all say Abraham Lincoln. And as you all know, Abraham Lincoln arrested a large portion of the Maryland legislature, went to the state, and had their government arrested because they were voting in favor of the Confederacy. Yeah. He suspended habeas corpus in a corridor stretching from Pennsylvania to D.C. because Maryland was Confederate sympathetic. And there were people who were minding their own business who got arrested without charge or trial and were held for years during the Civil War. Just didn't matter. You were here. We don't know or care. You're getting locked up.
That's been a question we've asked ourselves for so long. If not now, when? You know what I mean?
Well, my view is if anything happens, the left is starting it. Like the right has continually begged not for nothing to happen.
Yeah.
And what we get now is the left is clapping and cheering and celebrating terror attacks. Trump won a political process and is trying to implement the will of his voters. And they are obstructing him with administrative attacks and violent attacks, even assassination attempts during his presidential campaign. So what I think is likely going to happen in the next several months is the left is going to escalate dramatically. The right will likely just respond to whatever that is with elected law enforcement, duly elected. You know, Dan Bongino has already announced they are going after these swatters and these arsonists. We'll see.
That's the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to that uncensored call-in show. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Uncensored. And I just want to give you guys the count because I said the number of likes that we get in the show is how many years in prison Fauci will get. We currently have 13,200. That's a lot of years in prison for the man. So smash the like button, share the show, head over to rumble.com/Timcast IRL, join Rumble Premium using promo code TIM10 for that uncensored call-in show, which is coming up. It's going to be fun. Our members from the Discord are going to call in and talk to us and our guests. It'll be a good time. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Tiffany, do you want to shout anything out?
Just, come on over to TikTok at Tiffany Cianci, and on X, I'm the Vino Mom. And if you guys are into asking for things of your government, convince Trump to close the carried interest loophole and maybe we can make a difference. He says he wants to do it. He's going to need some incentive. He's going to need to know that's what we want.
Right on.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and for my boomer homies on Facebook at Cody McIntyre. I also have a TikTok. Yeah, weird, right?
You're the first person to ever promote a Facebook on this
show. Hey, man,
I'm
getting up there, dude. But yeah, just stoked to be here and check out the boonies if you get a chance for some skateboarding.
Well, thank you both for trying to rush in and fill in for our lost guests, but, we'll definitely have you both back.
Love to.
Hey, guys. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. If you've been following me on X lately, you know I'm trying to grow my X account numbers. So follow me on X. I am the blue-collar fella here, and I am a common sense revolutionary. Mr. Phil?
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record dropped on January 31st. It's entitled Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL for the uncensored show in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.